everybody. Welcome to the Fandom Post Radio Podcast. I am host Kate, and joining me this week is Kestrel.
Hello.
And DJ.
Yo.
And Kane.
Hola.
Very delayed reaction. We are here. We have survived the holidays, as far as I'm aware. None of us are zombies. We're going to be discussing the fall 2020 anime season. Goodbye, year. I'm very excited for the season coming up, but we have to get the year out of the way. This fall out of the way, and then the year out of the way before we can get there. So, do we have any news first off?
Yeah.
Anything happen?
Yeah. A couple pieces of news. As per usual, first one is several weeks old. But it's not like super time dependent anyway, time sensitive. So it is the announcement of Mamoru Hosoda's next movie. It was kind of always expected that we would get one in 2021 because he has been on a very consistent every 3 years pattern since he, started being his own director basically instead of working on franchises. So next movie is going to be called Belle. Belle follows a teenage girl who lives between modern-day Japan and a virtual world called You. As with Hosoda's previous work, like Digimon Our War Game and Summer Wars, Belle will explore how technology impacts lives and relationships. Hosoda will also tackle familiar themes such as youth, family bonds, and friendship to create a story about courage and hope in difficult times. So, unsurprising, he's falling back on a lot of his usual themes. I guess it's slightly unusual that he's going back a few films to his Summer Wars and Digimon days. But hopefully it's good, because the last one was not very good.
Yeah, that sounds
Maybe that's
very...
why he's changing.
Yeah, I hope so.
That sounds very Summer Wars.
Yeah, which, Summer Wars was just a remake of his Digimon movie with more time and less Digimon. But yeah, Mirai, I think, was a huge step down from all of his other stuff, but it was nominated for an Oscar, so who knows? It wasn't necessarily a failure.
Did it do successfully in the financial realm as far as
I guess
it could go?
Yeah, I think so. I can check quickly.
Did we get a theatrical release, or did it just go to Netflix?
No, we got a theatrical release. Yeah. Actually, it is the only Hosoda movie that I've gotten in any theaters near me, so it's the only one I've seen in theaters. I think it was a Fandom event, so it was a lot more widespread than most of them. I thought actually when I was about to watch it, you were planning on watching it like the next day or something, but didn't end up happening. Because I remember us talking about it.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Did you ever watch it?
No, I haven't. It's one that I've been kind of avoiding simply because I heard it just wasn't as good. So I just kind of put it on my back burner, so to speak, and have been just watching other things I've been meaning to catch up on or always wanted to watch and know that they're, well received and things like that. So Mirai just kind of went to the back burner and then just kind of sat there and is sitting there currently. I'm not sure when I'll get around to watching it. I know I will. It'll just be one of those things like a lot of other movies. I'll just one day decide, you know what, I feel like watching this, and then I'll just watch it on a whim. Like it won't be planned or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't love it, and I feel like a lot of people share that sentiment, but it was nominated for a bunch of awards, won a bunch of awards, and has extremely high, critical ratings, so, whatever, your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's the story kind of that also is off-putting to me, at least as far as the Netflix quick summary goes, that it's like... It sounds like a kid's going to be a brat for an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's basically it.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to sit through that. I got other things that I could watch rather than an anime kid just be kind of a little dickhead for an hour and a half.
It's very much the Ponyo of Hosoda's filmography. So what Ponyo is to Miyazaki's films, I think Mirai definitely is to Hosoda's.
Yeah, but Mirai doesn't have Matt Damon.
As so John Cho. I haven't watched the dub actually, but John Cho is the lead, I think. Not the kid, obviously, but his dad.
I wish it would have been the kid.
Just John Cho as like a 5-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah, it is on my to watch list, so it'll definitely get watched.
Yeah.
I also have a couple other Hosoda movies I need to watch too. Like I haven't seen Wolf Children yet because Emily doesn't want to be sad.
Jeez.
But she doesn't want to be sad by it, and I was like, I can feel that. But eventually it'll get watched as well. It's just one of those things where stuff keeps coming and coming and coming, and I get backlogged over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. You should definitely watch Wolf Children because I think that is by far his best work.
I liked The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. I think of the ones that I've seen, that's my favorite one.
Yeah,
I've seen 3 of them. The Boy and the Beast, and Summer Wars.
Right.
I think are the 3. There may be another one I'm missing.
I mean, those are basically his, films as an independent filmmaker rather than as a Toei employee who worked on franchises, because those are his only films outside of Digimon and One Piece.
Oh, the One Piece movie is so good, though.
But yeah, I think Wolf Children is by far his best of those. I guess there are 5 of them now. And then Summer Wars and Girl Who Leapt Through Time are behind that, and then Boy and the Beast behind that, but those are all still good films, whereas Mirai is a huge step down.
Those 3 are the ones that got into that collection, weren't they?
The 4, actually, which in retrospect, I'm kind of like, yeah, it was a good timing. You got all the good ones. Yeah, it was those 4.
Yeah. I still see those, like, Hosoda collector's editions sitting at, like, an FYE every once in a while, and I'm just like, God damn, these are so expensive.
Just like the ones with the slipcovers?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird that they're so expensive.
Yeah, they are. I don't know if you've ever seen how expensive they are, but like they'll have the normal Blu-ray next to the like Hosoda collection version, and I don't think there's anything different about the media itself.
Right.
I haven't compared them in that way, but it's like you could get a new, and these are new, so you could get the new copy, normal standard of Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and it's like $17.99, and then you look at the Hosoda collection one, and it's $34.99.
What the hell?
Yeah.
For a slipcover version, and it's just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's got like the slipcover and the book, but I can't think of anything else that makes it that special. It's been a while, but yeah, I had all of the original Blu-rays, and then I bought all of the Hosoda collection versions and got rid of my original Blu-rays, and then I bought the actual, like, I forget what they called it. It's not called the Hosoda collection again, but the collected works of Mamoru Hosoda or whatever. So now I have 2 versions of all those films, where I would have had 3.
Does not surprise me in the least, considering it's you.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised by that at all.
Like, I'd like to say that if they came out in the other order, or I knew that the box set was coming, I would have only gotten 1, but the box set doesn't have the books, so yeah, I was probably always destined to get both.
If they do another box set that has these next 2 in it, would you buy that as well?
We'll see. I mean, it's not going to happen because Funimation has the first 4, and G-Kids has Mirai, and I imagine they will get the future ones because they just kind of get all standalone anime films at this point.
Oh, Funimation, go back, release One Piece movie 6. Do it.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone's going to release that, it's going to be Funimation, but
I think you can amend that statement from Funimation gets standalone anime films to just Funimation gets all anime at this point.
Well, yeah. G-Kids gets standalone anime films. Funimation gets everything else.
Yeah. They allow G-Kids to exist.
Now, it's very interesting, G-Kids' place in the industry, because, like, they were nobody, and they were just like, hey, Ghibli, how about you give us your catalog instead of Disney? And they were like, all right.
Well, I remember the first time I had seen G-Kids stuff, it was for, like, if it was anime, it was kind of obscure films that I'd never heard of at that point that didn't have a whole lot of hype, or it was, like, just straight up international.
Yeah.
Like, in general. Like, I think some of the first anime films I'd seen in G-Kids copies and that I had watched that were G-Kids was, like, Patema Inverted, Letter to Mamo, I think those are the first 2, but I know they also have, like, Satellite Cow. I can't remember what that is. That weird one where a boy transforms into a cow. And then is G Kids the one? Do they have Napping Princess too?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of movies that don't get a whole lot of fanfare. So I don't know if they're any good, but
yeah, I
they
mean,
still
it's
get released. So
I'm
that's
glad that
cool.
I'm glad that G Kids exists and does what they do because they really do get like every anime film that people have any interest in, and a lot that not necessarily many people do. So I feel like we're getting a much wider spread of those than we used to, just because G Kids is licensing stuff that no one else would have.
They're turning into like the Criterion Collection of anime.
Or just
Here's all the
animation in
obscure
general.
art house
Yeah.
animation. Just
Yeah,
take
it really
all
is.
this.
Really is all international animation, which is awesome.
They're so good.
Yeah.
I want to see if they don't have one, I'll have to check if they'll do like a Blu-ray release someday of like, there's an animated movie I really like called the Triplets of Belleville, which I
I'm
think
pretty sure they did release that.
I think they released
Did they?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty
I
sure.
fucking love that movie.
I saw that movie in theaters
Oh, it's
a long
great.
time ago.
It's great. I really like it. And then I think they did Ernest and Celestine too,
Yep.
didn't they?
Yep.
Which is also dope as hell. Yeah, they rule. I'm Camp G Kids.
All right. Speaking of anime films, Demon Slayer, Mugen Train, the movie, has finally become the highest-grossing film in Japan of all time.
It's wild.
Yep. So yeah, it passed Spirited Away a few days ago. It took 73 days, I think, in theaters. And I think I even saw something about like what we were talking about last time, where Spirited Away and a few other Ghibli films had some emergency screenings that might have pumped up their numbers a little bit more. So yeah, it still passed by it pretty quickly. And now, this is all in the context of Japanese box office, where it has passed not only stuff like Spirited Away and Your Name, but also, Titanic, Frozen, other films that have been extremely successful in Japan. So now the next potential milestones for it to reach are if it can push past number 3 on the highest grossing anime films worldwide. So at this point, Your Name and Spirited Away both have higher worldwide grosses. Obviously, the fact that a lot of countries aren't showing many films in theaters means that it has a harder chance at that. But it's not that far off. And considering how little time has passed and that it, has some planned releases in other countries coming up, I think it has a pretty good shot of getting number 2, if not number 1. I feel like they're all pretty close in that top 3 there. So that would be even wilder.
I think what makes it interesting in particular is the normal like reasoning and math you hear behind some of these kind of balances out in more ways than usual, because one of the arguments kind of for it being easier for Demon Slayer is the fact that ticket prices are probably more expensive than they were when Spirited Away came out, and you'll hear that
Sure.
as like, well, of course it passed it, but then also it's a pandemic.
Right.
So, but then you could also say, well, because it's a pandemic, that's probably the only movie in theaters,
Right,
and
right.
people really want to get out to movie theaters and do something, so they'll probably watch a movie they would have normally not had a lot of interest in.
Yeah, we definitely talked about those two, different sides of the scale last time, where, there are restrictions in place. You literally can't have as many people in a theater, so it's more impressive. But yes, on the other hand, it doesn't have any competition, really. But I still think, if those two more or less balance out, then it's still an impressive feat to blow past those record holders in such a short period of time. And, Your Name was only a few years ago. It was only 4 years ago, so it passed that very quickly. And Frozen as well, just a few years before that. So yeah, it's definitely impressive no matter how you look at it.
I mean, a lot of money is a lot of money, so...
Yeah, right. Yeah. If it passes those other two in like worldwide gross, then I think there aren't too many excuses you can put towards it, because that's got the competition of all these other countries that are more or less closed down in movie theaters. that contributed significantly to those films' worldwide gross. So we'll see.
I'm curious to know how good of a film it actually is.
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a typical Shonen Jump film, which is weird because like you'd expect that. It is actually the next arc of the manga adapted into a film instead of an arc of the TV series, which is unusual. But I think, that probably contributes to the fact that if you're a Demon Slayer fan, you don't have a choice. You have to watch the film. It's not just like a throwaway side story. But based on that, the TV series was of extremely high quality, especially for a Shonen Jump adaptation. So assuming it is of that quality or even higher, as I'm sure it is being a feature film, I expect that it is good, but can't confirm yet.
it's interesting they went that route with it.
Yeah, it's very strange. Like Made in Abyss did the same thing, but this is just such a standard formula for shonen, for specifically weekly Shonen Jump, long running shonen action manga. This is really the first time it's happened this way, I think. So I don't know what they're going to do in the future. Like, it's just going to be film, series, alternating, completely random?
I don't know. The manga ended, right? So it's a complete story now.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. In those situations where a film comes out in between two seasons, a lot of times it'll be harder to get access to the film in the US, at least legally, because, we get everything simulcast that airs on TV, but films not so much. So, hopefully they can bring it out in theaters when they're planning to, and it's not a completely inane idea to go to theaters at that time. Or at least the Blu-ray comes out before, any more of the TV series airs, if there is to be more of the TV series.
True. I like you're like theaters. And I'm like, if theaters last that long.
Yeah.
They're in bad shape.
I'm gonna make a cynical prediction based off experience about what's gonna happen next with that property, and it's gonna be they're gonna take that movie and they're gonna split into a 26 episode series that's gonna be way worse than the movie, and then they're gonna air that, and then people are gonna have to watch that shit because there's gonna be a couple like nuggets and tidbits that they're gonna need to know that the movie didn't cover, that they have to sit through 26 mediocre episodes of.
I bet they will do maybe 12, and I bet they'll add nothing of consequence because I think they were not planning on that at all. But now that this was so explosively successful, it does have a better shot that, throw it on TV. Why not?
Yeah, because I'm fucking looking at you, Gundam Unicorn.
I mean, obviously it happens a lot more often the other direction.
Yeah, I was going to say the recap movie.
Right.
Oh, God. Why Japan?
Because money.
Yeah, because money. Because it takes very little work.
God, fans, do not go see recap movies. Don't be those people.
The only time I can really recommend recap movies is if they're like of a higher quality than the series was. And then it's like, just go watch the movies if you haven't seen the series.
Yeah. Which, as we discussed last episode, has happened exactly once.
Yep, one time.
What a weird
anyway, that's all I got for news.
What a weird world we're living in. Everything's
Indeed.
weird. Even stuff that should be banal
Strange.
is weird.
I think we have like an independent series of theaters around here that kind of opened and then got closed again. I think they're still open, but they're showing like just random ass movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously nothing new. I think they showed Tenet. But then after that, you'll go on their website or whatever, and it'll just be like, "Oh, we're showing Cars."
That's funny. I was just talking about Cars.
I know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know when I would go back to a theater. It's such a weird thing to think about and about when that'll happen. But yeah, weird year.
The
luckily it's almost over.
the last
No,
movie
it's not like everything just changes.
Yeah, I wish we just hit the switch and be like, it's over, thank God. Don't have to live through that nightmare.
That's what
all
my
week.
parents told me is gonna happen. For various obvious reasons.
The last movie I saw in theaters was Weathering with You, and I just picked up I got the limited edition, collector's edition, or whatever for Christmas. So
Is that
which
a
I have
nice
yet to
set?
watch. So again,
Do you have a 4K player? Or a 4K
No.
anything?
nope.
Yeah,
Well,
you should have led with 4K anything.
Right, yeah. Well, it's got the regular Blu-ray and
Yeah,
they
it's
don't
got the
look that
regular
different.
Blu-ray.
Color's possible.
Someday I plan on having maybe a new TV. Actually, before Christmas, my dad was like, "Hey, do you think we should get a bigger TV for this room?" And I'm like,
You said yes,
"Oh,
right?
I have to be the adult." No, I was the adult about the situation. Going, we can't fit a bigger TV in this room, which is totally true. We could fit a newer TV in that room, but then we'd have to buy a sound bar. I have one
What
of the
size
last
TV do you have in there right now?
like a 50-something inch. It's the living room's kind of small, and it's got awkward, arrangement of things that can't really be rearranged. So we're kind of limited to like the size of a thing we can get. But also, like, newer TVs, they don't build them like they used to. So they're like they're thinner now than they used to be. So
They are.
yeah. So now it's like you need a sound bar because the speakers, they don't put speakers in them anymore. Basically, they put shitty speakers that barely qualify as speakers in
You
them.
get dime-sized cell phone speakers.
Right.
God, they're the worst. And like the TV we have right now, even though it's older, it's a 1080p and it has really good sound. And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna give it a TV that actually doesn't need a sound bar.
I think
That
my
is a
TV
conundrum.
is the width of my cell phone. Actually, looking at my cell phone, TV's a little thinner.
I think my Sony is pretty thin too. Kate, you don't have your TV mounted above a fireplace, do you?
No, thank God.
Oh, thank you.
My dad thought about that at one point. Like, no, no, no. Also, that fireplace works, so super no.
Yeah, big no if it works, but just
Yeah.
a large no in general because of I don't get the
That
ergonomics
viewing-
behind people doing that.
No, and I'm like, the viewing angle's bad. What are you
Yeah,
thinking?
you're craning your neck.
I was like, what are you doing? No. Also, that thing shoots fire. It's a gas fireplace insert. It still generates heat.
Is that is the collector's edition of that all you got for Christmas in terms of anime manga things?
Yeah, basically. Oh, I got the first volume of the My Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom light novel. As provided by my sister, because it was on my Amazon wish list or something. I forgot I had it on there. So
Nice.
so that was it for terms of anime. What I really
know,
needed
Kestrel,
was
you got a
socks.
mess
This
of
was
stuff.
the one year I would have been psyched to actually get socks, and I didn't get any socks.
I think the only clothes I really got were some PJs. Most of the time I get tons of clothes, and as I'm getting older, I'm wanting the clothes.
Yeah, that's
And
because
enjoying
you've
the
been
clothes.
An
Yeah.
adult. You're like, oh no, I become an adult. Clothes make me happy. No.
Clothes and productivity tools.
Yeah, man, I felt like such a child talking to Kane on Christmas because he's like, "What'd you get?" And I listed off all these fucking cartoons, and he's like, "Oh, I got vice grips."
Yeah, that's how it went. I got vice grips and toolboxes, baby.
Woo.
Yeah.
Did
I mean, the
get anything
toolboxes were
constructive?
greatly needed because all of my tools were just sitting on the floor at that point, and the pile was growing
Yeah.
as I needed to do more stuff, so they needed a place to go.
I
Yeah,
asked for a utility knife. I got a box cutter.
Yeah, close.
I'm like, oh, this is a blade in a thing, so I guess that counts.
My
Do you
mom
mean
got-
do you mean like a Leatherman style thing?
Yeah, I
Is that what
wanted
you
like
mean?
a carry.
Oh,
I'm like-
multi-tool. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wanted.
Okay,
I wanted
yeah, then not
something I
very
could
close.
shoot people with. I'm like, well, yes, I could do damage with this, but I wanted something a little more all-purpose than a box cutter. But oh well.
It's okay,
My mom-
Kate. If you ask me next year for the same thing, I'll get you a pair of tin snips. Here you go. You can cut some shit with these. Castro, what were you saying?
I wasn't gonna try a third time. I was
That's why we're waiting for you. We're like, okay,
Yeah,
now
I
you can
know.
talk.
like, twice bitten. Yeah, my mom got Caitlin a toolbox because she is the man of our house. I don't do things with tools. I don't do things that require me to use my hands.
Kestrel's too metrosexual for that.
Sure.
You're like Zoolander from the movie Zoolander in the coal mine scene.
Exactly like that, yes.
Exactly.
I
mean, I was glad you got a lot of anime stuff, Kestrel, for Christmas. I can live vicariously through you in that respect.
That is what I typically get. Actually, past couple of Christmases, I've gotten a lot of hoodies and shirts because I've needed them. But yeah, in general, I get anime and manga because that's what's on my list.
My mother refuses to buy me more books, and every year she looks at my list and goes, "It's all books," and then tries her hardest not to get me any books.
Yeah, I was like complaining about having no space for anything and having piles of stuff that I'm trying to give away and can't give away. And then I'm like, hey, here's my list of hundreds of more things to put on my shelves.
DJ, did you get anything fun for Christmas?
Yeah, I got a few things. I got all weeb stuff.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I'm not the only kid here.
Yeah, no, I got the Wasteful Days of High School Girls on Blu-ray. That's fun. I love that show. I'm wearing a Sankarea t-shirt that I got right now, which is a cool thing to get. That I probably am like one of the 4 people that own.
Is it like official or is it like a bootleg?
No, it's I can't remember the name of the site, but it's like user created artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody
So
like drew
bootleg.
Raya and like submitted it as a t-shirt design. So that's that.
At least it's like, the Artist Alley type
it's like
t-shirt
that.
rather than like, they just print off a picture, a screenshot from the show or whatever.
Yeah, it's
You
not
mean like all
that.
those shady mall stores?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, there's a flea market near me that has like a lot of bootleg anime shirts.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Well, not cool, but it's a thing that exists.
You should go in and buy every shirt that also has the Supreme logo on it.
No.
Anime
Becca
girls
also,
with the Supreme logo.
Becca blew up one of the screenshots from my game and like got it as a huge ass print for my wall, and that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, congratulations on the fun anime stuff for Christmas.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'll live vicariously through all of you because
Enjoy your vice grips.
Yeah, enjoy being a grown-up.
I am pretty excited about them. Like, I can't even fake not being excited because my solution for like holding things together like a vice grip style was just setting them on the floor and putting milk jugs on top. Up to that point, like that was about all I could do. So having actual real grips to hold stuff confidently is pretty fucking keen. Yeah, excellent. So why don't we
God damn,
move on to
Kestrel.
the season?
That's a lot of stuff. Jesus.
Yeah, he got a shit ton of shit. Yeah, he got a ton of stuff. Yeah. Do you guys want to move on to talk about the season?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. All right. So, I guess I'll just take the lead as this normally happens, by telling people to talk about stuff. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have Kestrel talk about Fire Force Season 2.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. 'Cause you gave it a B, so I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's about where Fire Force has landed for a while now. It's a lot more of the same. It doesn't, blow anyone's mind at any point. It's got a decent balance of strong elements with new characters and new mysteries being revealed about the world in general. And then, your garbage Tamaki episodes. So, yeah, it's it always keeps itself from becoming great at every turn, because every time it seems like it's got a lot more potential. You get a Tamaki episode. So, yeah, the scales are very in line with how they have been for quite some time. But if you can ignore that garbage or like it for some reason, I think it has a lot of interesting ideas with the way the story is going. I don't know if we're getting more after the season, because I feel like after the first one, we had a second season confirmed, and I don't think that's the case this time, which is unfortunate because it left off on kind of a cliffhanger. Not exactly a cliffhanger, but certainly not any sort of conclusion. So So it's kind of an underwhelming point to go out on, especially when we don't know that we're getting any more. And it has like a weird Easter egg at the very end of the last episode, I think probably after the credits roll, which I don't know. I guess this is kind of a spoiler, but it semi-implies that it's the same universe as Soul Eater.
Of course it does.
Yeah, people are really getting into that these days. Like, I didn't talk about this when we talked about Burn the Witch originally, I don't think, but the last scene of that implies that it's the same universe as Bleach. So everyone wants to have their shared universes these days.
I think because they see the profitability.
Right. Yeah. People eat that shit up, and I eat that shit up. But, like, Jesus, pretty shoehorned there. Yeah. Anyway, that's Fire Force. I don't have any real strong feelings on it these days. It still looks great, and I wish the writing was a lot better and didn't have, like, super egregious elements that could easily be removed and make it a much better show.
Is the show structure like are the manga and the show structured similarly, or did the show kind of amp up the fan servicey parts, or did it die them down? Like, I haven't read it. It just seems like
either.
It seems like it could be something that would be shoehorned into an anime to make it sell more.
Well, considering how Soul Eater Not was in manga form, it was probably there in the original material.
Yeah, I have heard that it's toned down in the anime, which, oof.
Wow, holy shit.
Yeah, right.
Which is such a shame, because Soul Eater, like, was pretty not gross about stuff. There was only one character who was kind of like boobs.
Right.
But it was limited to, like, one character.
I mean, this is limited to one character, but it's her entire character, and it's just the most fucking infuriatingly stupid ecchi tropes nonstop.
Yeah.
And she's one of the main characters. Yeah. And it's just, shoves it in your face constantly. And it did a good job this season at not having much of her, and therefore not much of that material for quite a while. But in the last few episodes, there is an unfortunate amount. And, like, one of the last episodes, maybe the penultimate episode, it has a lot of, like, very serious Tamaki character building, which is great until it gets to the points where, like, here's her super serious backstory, and one of the great tragedies that has traumatized her is having to deal with this curse she has where she ends up in ecchi situations all the time. Isn't that sad and relatable?
Definitely relatable. I know I end up naked in public all the time on accident.
Yeah. So that kind of, undercut all of the emotional potential that backstory had.
Indeed.
Bummer.
Well, at least I know that I didn't really miss out on a whole lot. Like, it wasn't one of those shows that just gets a lot better, but you have to sit through a bunch of slop first.
Yep, that is true. It stays pretty middle of the road all the way through. Anytime it seems like it's going to get good, it balances it out.
It doesn't want to get your expectations up.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, that's one out of the road. Has that gotten a lot of, like, fanfare? Is that a really popular show? Like, I know for a while in my Reddit feed, it would show up on, like, the r/anime rankings fairly frequently, like, relatively high. I wonder if that's still the case?
I feel like I'm really bad at gauging popularity of anime because I'm just too close to it, and I don't, like, look at the overall fan feedback because everything I watch is just, like, I'm watching it. I look into it as much as possible. I don't know how many other people are into them. It seems like it should be. I mean, it's a, really well-produced, Funimation-funded shonen action series by the creator of Soul Eater. It has every potential to.
With titties.
And yeah, people love titties.
Yeah, people love those. So, can't go wrong there. I'm sure it's been relatively popular. I think I've seen merch at Hot Topic.
I like how that's your judge of, like, popularity. I saw merch at Hot Topic.
Yeah, so, like, there is the level.
I'm not wrong. A lot of really popular shows end up at Hot Topic. Like, I remember when Yuri on Ice was out, and all of a sudden that store was flooded with Yuri on Ice shit.
Yeah, there are a couple of levels of popularity you can gauge from that. One of them, yeah, is if your physical Hot Topic store has a bunch of merch from an anime. But Caitlin was looking at what merch Hot Topic had for anime as well as several other franchises that aren't anime, to see if she could get me anything that wasn't just Blu-rays and manga volumes. And yeah, they have like 100 different anime series. Um, I think they have several 100,000 pop culture licensed merchandise products, just Hot Topic alone. Obviously, you don't get all of those in your local store, but yeah, they have like everything. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever looked on their website. I've just walked into the store at my mall
Yeah.
and been like, oh, I guess these are the popular shows this year because there's 60 T-shirts of it.
Yeah, there's definitely some truth to that. That like, you know, My Hero Academia is a lot more popular than something that they have one online only item for.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, what she should have gotten you was a pair of, like, Studio Ghibli pajama pants.
I got her a pair of Studio Ghibli pajama pants
Ah, boom.
from
I
Hot Topic.
I did the same thing for Emily, like, 2 Christmases ago. I think they were Gigi.
Okay. See, I don't know if they had Gigi ones this year because Kiki's her favorite Ghibli movie and Gigi's her favorite character. So we got her I guess I sent it to my mom. My mom got it. A Gigi scarf, and I feel like there's at least one other Gigi item. But no, I got her Spirited Away pajama pants.
I mean, it is really hard to top Gigi.
Yeah, it's true.
That's tough.
Best
That's
cat
tough.
dad.
Indeed. All right, well, now I guess we can move on to another show since we've talked about that as much. DJ, how about you talk about because I know there was an interesting exchange between you and Kestrel that he had to start watching it because of how much you were hyping it. So why don't you guys talk about Love Live? Because I saw Kestrel, you did rate it okay, not nearly as well as DJ.
I loved it. But I mean, this is the kind of show that I like.
Right, and it's
It
the
is
kind of
weird
show I
how
don't like.
Girls, lesbians, idols, done. Okay, recipe for success. It's just a bonus that they were actually like real characters this time and not just archetypes with arms.
Which is the only reason I didn't hate it.
Yeah, so that's cool. There's not really much to say other than just it's really well produced and well made and completely different from every other Love Live thing that's happened so far in both of those regards. I hope that we get more. I don't know if we will. We probably
I'm sure
will.
we will, yeah. I mean, every series has gotten a second season and a movie. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of inevitable.
They've already like announced the other Love Live thing though. That's like not Nijigasaki, and that's getting a movie, I think. So that's like what's throwing me off.
I did see that. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll probably get more, especially considering that since the entire first season was really just establishing the characters. Like there was no plot or anything. It was just like these are the girls. This is what the girls are like, and this is the end.
And it was, all solo performances until the
Exactly.
very, very end. So
Yeah.
the fact that we haven't even gotten them as really a group yet means that they have to come up with a second season.
Yup, and I'll definitely watch it. But that's basically the extent of what I have to say for Love Live.
Well,
Yeah.
what's important in the production of one of those shows? You said it was very well produced, but I know like I know when I normally talk about a well produced show or Kestrel and I talk about it, it's normally in regards to like a shonen, so it's mostly about like the fight scenes and the art and animation
Well-
in regards to that. So what's the equivalent of that
It's-
for like an Idols show? Just
It's the same exact thing pretty much. It's the animation quality. There aren't a lot of idol shows that do the actual performances well.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, coordinated dance sequences is the flashy action sequence of idol
Yeah.
shows.
Exactly. And all the other old Love Live things were just like poorly CG animated and not fun to look at for the sake of just like getting the dances on screen. And with the amount of money that they've made from those series, I guess they were finally able to make it look good. So they kind of it's still 3D, but it's more of like a live 2D sort of looking thing where the characters are much more two-dimensional than they were in the other series, but it's still like super fluid animation, and
Yeah.
it looks really good.
Do they transfer from like 2D to 3D when they go into the performances?
Yeah, it's a lot less jarring this time around than it was in the other ones, though, because like the characters now, they just like become slightly more round, I guess. Like you can clearly
Yeah.
tell that they're not pure 2D anymore, but it doesn't really take you out of it. It's not immersion break.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, before
'cause-
it was like, here's the show. Oh, and here's an ad for a PS2 game. That's interesting.
Yep. It actually looked like a PS2 game, and that's being generous.
Kestra, would you say the improved production is what kind of drew you to like it more than other shows? Since I know you've casually said that this isn't really your wheelhouse, and you've tried watching it before, but it hasn't really been something that's really stuck with you. Is it the production values that kind of like put it over the hump to be, you put it at a B minus, so that's good or better than average,
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah, that's definitely not the reason. It doesn't hurt, but the reason is that I don't give a shit about idols, and usually for Love Live, they're just these cute girl archetypes. Take all the moe tropes on TV tropes and split them into 9 vessels. That's Love Live, but this actually has good character writing, and so I cared about the characters as characters, and that's all I really care about. And then they did their, cutesy little idol performance, and I was like, yeah, whatever. At least it doesn't look like garbage this time. But it's certainly not the reason I care about it. Like the last episode of this series, of the season, it was like, the big school idol festival. They all do their individual performances, and then they all do a big performance at the end, and it's all performances and being idols and everyone idolizing idols. And I didn't give a shit about that episode because it didn't have any of the character development that the rest of the series had, which, that's what idol fans come for, is what that last episode gave you.
That's not
But
true.
I didn't care for it.
I as an idol fan, I disagree with that. I also think the last episode was the worst one. It's there are like the Love Live idol fans, and then there are like actual idol fans who care about like a girl or multiple girls, like their story, rather than just seeing them all on stage dancing and stuff. And one of the things I liked about this season is that it felt like a lot more like Idol Master than it felt like Love Live. And I doubt you've ever watched that since you don't like idols, but that's
I watched an
another
episode or
series
two.
that- yeah, it's another series that focuses entirely on just character development and all that. So it was cool seeing that departure actually happen, and the Love Live people taking a backseat and kind of acknowledging that there are idol fans that want actual characters.
I guess when I talk about idol fans, I mean more of like the the franchise that this all really supports, which is, you go to your concerts and your handshake events and you fucking lose your mind because the girl is so cute. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Rather than like, just watching the TV show, which is more or less a commercial for all that. So those are the guys I think about because I've had a lot of experiences with them. Just their, much toned down American counterparts at conventions and stuff. So, that's
they're
what I think
wild.
about in terms of idol fans. Idol anime fans perhaps are more interested in quality writing and character development.
Yeah, true. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, idol fans are just on another level. Like, period.
It's insane.
Like it's impressive in a lot of ways, in my opinion. I don't think I could ever be that big of a fan of anything at all in my life. But I remember watching the James May documentary when he's in Japan. He goes to just one of those little idol concerts, and even like the 50 or 60 people that showed up were just fucking going ballistic
Yup.
for this
was
idol
a-
group.
Good for
There
them.
was a
They found a thing
travel
they love.
show there was a travel show where Sue Perkins from like a British Bake Off was like in Japan, and she went to this little tiny idol show. Like, we're talking like basement club, and there's all these like 40-year-old salarymen, and some dude looked just like Mr. Morocco from like Persona 4. And I'm all like, oh my god. I'm like, this guy really exists. And he was just there, and he was all like, yep, and now I'm gonna go home to my wife, and she's off doing her own thing tonight or whatever. But he goes to like random Idol concert to be Idol girl fan.
That's
in this
me
like
when I
what
grow
looks
up.
like a dive bar. And I'm just like, what is even going on in Japan?
Yeah, it's great because, like, you know, there are extreme exaggerated parodies of Idol fans and, you know, shows that do stuff like that. Like Gintama has a bunch of great sequences and arcs even about that. And then you see literally any Idol fan in real life, and it's not an exaggeration whatsoever. They are the cartoonish parody that the most extreme you can possibly depict. Yeah, it's amazing.
But Kate, that's what the Idol fans were for the James May one too. It was mostly like middle-aged men. Then after they're like, yeah, I just come out here to blow off steam, and I want to cheer on these idol bands for them to chase their dreams. And by day, I'm like an accountant, and I'm married.
Yeah. My most extreme Love Live fan who has like 1,000 pieces of Yohane merchandise attached to him at all times is like a doctor.
Yeah, they all are. It's weird.
They're all doctors. I guess you have to be a doctor to afford all that.
That's one of my favorite shows this year was about Idol fans, not idols. And
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and they all like they didn't have good jobs, so they were struggling. Like the girl worked in a fucking like a fish packing factory or some shit like that. No, it was all she did was flip over bread on a conveyor belt. That was her job. And so it's definitely an expensive hobby, and people that aren't those things struggle. So I guess there's that drive to become the best to do idol stuff.
Yeah, I want to believe that well, I guess she didn't exist yet, but idols in general were all that kept this guy going through 8 years of medical school.
I mean, to be fair, I actually didn't know that like handshake events and stuff like that were real until I watched Agretsuko of all things.
Oh god, yeah, they're real.
Yeah, because in the last season, she joins an idol group, and she actually gets stalked by someone who goes to all of her idol band's like handshake events and concerts and stuff like that, and it gets like oddly dark for as cute of a series as
Welcome
it is.
To the
most
idol
of the time.
industry.
And I couldn't help but think while it was going, I was like, this clearly comes from like actual experience. Like this must happen in real life a lot. That it got all the way to like a Sanrio character.
That's
like
one of the things I like about Idolmaster so much. It's like the character arc gets super dark at times, and you like see the shit that these teenage girls have to go through, and it's just on another level. It's fucking ridiculous. People are insane.
My favorite idol anime is Perfect Blue.
That's another one. It's pretty realistic too. I got
that's an anime.
To harken back to Christmas, I also got Millennium Actress on Blu-ray, so I can finally watch that.
Nice. Good one.
That's a good one, yeah. I watched that earlier this year. That's one you have to watch, I think, maybe twice. Because it can be confusing at first.
I feel like that's most Satoshi Kon movies.
Right. Definitely helps to
you can watch Paprika like 10 times and still be like, wait, what?
I think the only one that you can get through once is Tokyo Godfathers and be like, okay, I know everything that just happened.
Yeah, it's the only one without all that, metaphysical reality blending shit. It's got like one scene of that.
Oh yeah, it does, but you clearly know what's
going on when he made that movie.
Yeah, idols in general, I am kind of two minds about idol fans, because like on one hand I'm like, Jesus, these people need to be stopped, but on the other they are fascinating to watch, and I love them way more than I love idols.
So interesting.
Yeah, it's something else.
Incredible subculture.
But the idol industry I absolutely despise, and I think the only reason why I've been able to like get through Love Live is because it's like, yeah, they're just school kids. They're their own agents. They don't have to answer to anyone. They're just doing it for the love of performance. And they never grow up.
Their school is so fucking rad. I just want to throw that out there.
It's
like
true,
the
yeah.
coolest school in anime.
It's like the coolest city, and it's just their high school.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous. All the other
Um,
girls were like, fuck, like Love Live. This like the Aqua group was like they were fucking trying to keep their school alive and shit.
Well, it was the first two because they had the same plot
Well,
and
yeah,
the same girls.
it's always let's save the school with idols, but
Yeah.
like, yeah,
God, Sunshine was so uninspired. Well, it was inspired by something, but it was unoriginal.
it's by itself.
Yeah. But yeah, then, Love Live is, of course, the anime and the writing are just a small fraction of the giant industry, which is just as disgusting as anything else, no matter how cute a face you put on it. So I wish that this whole industry didn't exist, but whatever. At least the show was okay, and Idol fans are fun.
Crazy that it like does exist and is like that because it's like still one of the like top aspirations for young Japanese girls. Like if you ask a young Japanese girl what they want to be when they grow up, like 25% of them say idols or some shit. And it's weird like subjecting so many people to such a horrible industry.
Well, I think they probably don't realize
Not at all.
how bad it is because they see the Love Live side of it and how much people love idols. And they're like, I want to be the most popular girl. And yeah, people like to exploit people with those aspirations and make lots of money on them.
Yep, and it's just as bad with Korean idols as well.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's quite similar.
It's arguably even worse because they have like all the same standards as the Japanese idols, but then there's the fucking like unrealistic beauty expectations where you straight up need to like turn yourself into a different person physically to be a K-pop star. It's like,
so weird. They're so shiny.
All getting plastic surgery like all the time.
They were like
Their body
all...
needs to be a walking, talking Instagram filter.
Exactly. It's so wild. So that's shitty.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything about the Asian pop music industry is the worst.
I shouldn't laugh about it, but just the way you phrased it made me chuckle. I don't know why. All right, well, are we good there now? Everybody got their...
Got my feelings off my chest.
Yeah, everyone got everything off their chest in terms of the idol industry.
I'll have nothing to say about idols until Zombie Saga comes back.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be next year?
I don't know. What's his face put out a teaser.
Ooh, teaser.
It'll be next year.
Or he dressed up as his character and went online to yell a bunch of silly things at a camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That character is just him, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, someone just recorded him on the stream. It wasn't like a promotion.
So I don't know how serious that was or not. It was just yelling things at a camera. I'm like,
it's announced. Like, it'll happen next year. Just a matter of
hopefully.
when.
Hopefully. I need some of that back in my life.
Oh, that was
Good
so much better than I thought it
vibes.
was going to be.
That show was way better than anybody thought it was going to be.
Fucking loved it.
I need to know what the deal with, like, Tayamana is. Like,
Yeah, she hasn't even said anything yet.
It did seem to really come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it kind of blew
Like,
up,
just-
too. But then it just, like,
way out of
disappeared
left
right
field.
after. The biggest thing for, like, 2 months, and then just gone.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. One of those, like, flash in the pans, but not, because they're going to make more of it. And I assume it'll probably be at least as popular. Maybe not as good, but as popular, because from what it is and how good that first season was.
I mean, Colin, it's the ultimate underdog story. You can't get more underdog than being dead.
I'll agree with that.
Sure, why not?
Anyway, we digress.
Yeah, speaking of being dead, let's move on to the next show that I want to talk about, which is Moriarty the Patriot, which I fucking loved way more than I had any right to. I know, Kestrel, you watched it, so we can chat about it a little bit. I think the first thing I wanted to talk about with it was, I don't think Sherlock, like the character, could have shown up at like any closer than nick of time before I was starting to get tired of like the way the story was going at that point. And I think his addition really kind of like spiced it up enough in the end, because now you got like the nemesis there, and the way that they're testing each other, and Sherlock Moriarty is testing Sherlock to make sure that he's going to be the quote unquote. It almost feels like you're gonna be the one that's gonna destroy me.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows it's coming, and he's just waiting for the right person that'll make it happen for him. That's kind of what it feels like. But yeah, I really enjoyed the show. Like, I guess I also watched some Sherlock, like the BBC at the same time, like rewatched some of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's parts of that I like, and parts of Moriarty that I actually like more, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I like the personification of Moriarty in this anime more than in the BBC, because I like how he is cunning, but also like very cool-headed and not like weirdly sexual about stuff.
Yeah. I don't think the BBC Sherlock Moriarty could be the protagonist of a show.
No,
it'd be a very weird show.
It would be super weird, because that guy just looks like he spends all of his time in opium dens when he's not planning these insane crimes. But I really enjoyed it. I liked the design of a lot of the costumes and the characters. I didn't think anybody got really like too anime to the point where they stuck out like sore thumbs amongst the other people. Like,
I think it's because everyone was in that anime.
Yeah, that really is it. I mean, the only character design I actually really didn't like was Moriarty's hair, because it looked like he had a balloon coming out of the back of his head.
I like how you phrased that. I didn't like Moriarty's hair as its own character.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, because the back of his head extends so far to have this like this tuft of hair, and then his bangs are the dumbest thing on the planet, or whatever those things are that hang off the front. I don't know what you would call those at that point. But everyone else, like, I thought was actually relatively realistic to the time period as far as an anime is concerned. Like, it's not going to give everyone brown bowl cuts and shit. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and also the OP is a banger. I listened to the OP every time it came on.
I'm proud of you.
Not so much the ending. I skipped that shit. But the opening I did watch, except I don't, and Kestrel, maybe you'll know if this is something that happens or if that's the actual translation, but I didn't like the translation of the lyrics, because I felt like the lyrics were too modern and slang compared to the style of the song and the animation they were showing on the screen, which was Victorian, but then they'd use language that was very 21st century.
Yeah. And they also, I mean, it was like half English, and it was very English.
Yeah,
to the point that I didn't realize how much of it was English until they put the subtitles on the screen.
When it's so English, you can't understand it at all. You're like, oh, that was a word.
You like try to match up where the capitalized words are in what they're saying, and you're like, oh wow, that's what that was supposed to say. Damn.
Whoa, weird.
Yeah, I found it kind of hilarious for that reason. Once I saw the translation or lack thereof. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was probably a pretty accurate translation because it was like half English. Yeah. But I mean, the ending song is just like, could you get any further from being appropriate for a Victorian English TV show? This
Between
ultra 2020 J-pop.
Oh yeah. Well, also just the general theme and mood of the song doesn't match the show in any way, fucking whatsoever. I think that's what I really liked about the opening too, is that you know what you're getting when you walk into it, and you're like, oh, this is what the show's gonna be like watching this. And Emily actually sat down and watched it with me a few times because they just kept introducing characters that she knew about, and she wanted to see how accurate they were or what they looked like.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm always about eating the rich and everything, and seeing, asshole people get their comeuppance. I didn't like, because it didn't really get a whole lot better, the fact that the bad guys, the rich people, still were kind of portrayed as very 2D, in a way, and they were just, and all of them seemed to have anger problems. Like,
they were all very cartoonish villain caricatures.
they were very snidely whiplash about everything all of the time.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's why when Sherlock was introduced when he was a good breath of fresh air, because at that point I started to kind of question the story more. It was easy for me to get sucked in and believe he's getting away with all these murders in the beginning. But then as he keeps doing murders, I couldn't help but think eventually even the police are going to catch up, because they're going to get eyewitness testimonies that this guy keeps showing up in the towns where these people are dying and then leaving as soon as those people are dead. So I couldn't help but kind of get sucked out of the story a little bit as he did more of these, and there were no repercussions, like not even a whiff of a repercussion.
Yeah, exactly.
So then when Sherlock finally showed up and he started trying to solve the crimes and match wits with Moriarty, even though they're kind of on a buddy-buddy basis at this point, it was still refreshing to see, okay, we're going to get some conflict between Moriarty and someone that isn't just a potential victim or a victim in the first place.
Right.
Because the police can't be that shitty to not even figure out that this James Moriarty character keeps popping up around these murders.
Man, I don't know, man. Not after, RV guy. What do you mean the girlfriend tipped him off 2 years in advance? And you guys showed up at the house and said, well, the gate's locked. Guess we can't check out this bombs or in the RV situation.
Womp womp.
I feel like it's kind of in character for a Sherlock Holmes adaptation for, Scotland Yard to be a kind of incompetent organization, because that's kind of Sherlock's platform to solve every crime, because the police can't do anything on their own.
That is very true. Because that's how the BBC one goes too, for the most part. It's like the Scotland Yard just exists as almost like Keystone Cop slapstick compared to Sherlock's like crime-solving skills.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Is it extending into next season, or was that it for now?
It's a split core, so it's off next season, back spring.
Okay. Because I do want to see where it's going now that it's like very established what's happening between kind of like Sherlock and Moriarty, when they had that inevitable scene where they're talking to each other and they're like, what if you were the murderer? Well, what if I was the murderer?
Yeah.
And then of course they laugh it off, but none of them, actually took that as a joke.
Yeah.
Like it felt like a sparring session between the two.
Yeah, it was very specifically the challenge of, you gotta prove it.
Yeah, exactly.
We both know what's going on here, but you need to come up with proof. And I need to make sure I don't leave any.
Until you got evidence, you can't do jack shit against me. I also still want to know kind of how James and his brother, whose name I can't remember right now.
Well, they're all James. It's their middle names.
Sorry, the main Moriarty and the butler brother Moriarty.
Right, yeah. William Lewis.
We'll go with that. Yeah, Lewis, that's right. We'll go with, I want to know how that formed, that the one just kind of took on an almost subservient relationship to the other. Or if that's ever... I mean, it doesn't need to be explained. I'm just curious, because they both seem to be of generally equal abilities when it comes to their intelligence somewhat.
I would say that William is markedly above Lewis in intelligence, and that's kind of what I've interpreted as the reason for that relationship. Because, you see Lewis, he's as smart as any normal character would be in that situation, where he's trying to piece together the different thought processes of Sherlock and his brother. But both of them are just way past that level.
Lewis does seem to have a physical advantage, though. He seems to be the muscle, kind of.
For sure. Which, it kind of makes sense there. It's William is the planner, the schemer, he's the brains, and then Lewis is, his muscle, he's in the shadows, and he beats people up for him. So kind of makes sense that he's the servant a bit more. But yeah, it is weird that he's just a straight up butler.
Yeah, he's just a straight up butler. They aren't even kind of equals, or maybe that's just the way that they decided their relationship would be, because that's the easiest to do.
You know what I realized? I think in the last episode, actually, because William, who knows what his actual first name was, he took the place of the actual, noble born
The
William
one he
James
murdered.
Moriarty, the one he murdered. Spoiler. But he introduces Lewis as his adopted younger brother. So I think that's why, because it doesn't make sense in the context of their own home, but in public, he's the one who's not a noble.
Maybe they're just really dedicated role players.
Right. Yeah.
That's just part of one of their quirks. I also
Yeah, it is-
liked. Oh, continue. I was just gonna
No,
mention.
go ahead.
I also liked how they're showing Sherlock as like a not troubled, but nowhere near like a perfect person to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Like they mention his drug use like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one of the
Which is
first
important.
things.
It's an important characteristic of that character.
Yeah, it's super important, and I didn't know if they were going to address it
Right.
necessarily, but they did kind of right away. Now it was more of an offhand comment because I think
Yeah.
William just says like you smell like chemicals or something,
Right. And
but
like
it's clear what he's referring to.
and he's always smoking and stuff, and they play it off like, yeah, this could all be tobacco, but like he's got a room full of the smoke and is hallucinating and stuff. You got your standard Sherlock there.
Yeah, and it's fun to see Sherlock even questioning his own decisions, like not being as headstrong even in his own, like when he's struggling with the idea of shooting that man so that he could have learned who the benefactor was for a little while because he was getting that desperate to know. It was fun seeing that side of him, just because you know that he can't solve everything all of the time, and it eats at him in ways that makes him question his own morality. And I thought it was a good juxtaposition to show that there really isn't a whole lot separating Moriarty and Sherlock. Like, it's almost just like that hair's breadth of difference that Sherlock just decided not to kill that guy, but he just as easily could have killed that guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't some, like, morality grandstand where he was like, I would never kill you because there's no justice and I would
Right.
be just as... And he was like, I should have, but I didn't. But I
Yeah.
should have.
And, in a lot of ways, which I guess this kind of makes sense since Moriarty is the protagonist, but Moriarty is painted in maybe not more moral or ethical light, but a more driven by a cause. He wants to eat the rich because the rich are garbage and the system needs to be broken. And that's like his motivation for everything. Whereas Sherlock is kind of just a big baby who wants to solve mysteries and have fun. And he doesn't really have any moral investment in, catching murderers or anything like that. So in that way, Moriarty is more justified in his actions, which is, if the protagonist wins at the end of this story, that's probably the reason that they depicted it that way. Because, yeah, either way, you want to root for your protagonist more often than not. So it kind of, makes sense. But it's weird. It seems like they go back and forth between how they want you to feel about Moriarty and whether this is a show where, the protagonist is clearly a villain or, they're just more of an anti-hero and you're meant to root for them all the way through. And I think depending on the context of the stories, they kind of lose sight of which one they're going for.
Yeah, though it does add a nice wrinkle to it, I think, that even in the first season, sometimes you find you're not exactly rooting for him as much as you may be rooting for Sherlock, but I found myself only rooting for Sherlock to figure it out enough that he knows, but not enough to be able to do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the show is going to have some problems down the road if it keeps relying on these lords as these very two-dimensional super evil characters, because when you're not making these people interesting that he's killing, you're shown at the beginning of the episode what they did that was really bad, and then Moriarty comes in and takes care of it later. I think the idea of Moriarty of being a good guy is going to kind of wear thin because it'll almost seem like he's picking on them.
Yeah.
in a way, because it's just like, oh, he's just showing up to these places and killing these people, and that's it. So I think the interesting aspect of that is going to go away if they can't find at least a more intelligent than normal rich person that could at least basically challenge Moriarty or throw a wrench or two into his plans. Now, Moriarty would eventually win, because that's just how it's supposed to go, and that rich person would die. But if you keep seeing these rich people just fall for it in 5 or 6 minutes, for the most part, I think it'll have some trouble garnering that that fanfare behind him of being the good guy, because there won't be any challenge to him outside of Sherlock. And like you said, it's hard to root for Sherlock in this show so far because he's not really doing it as some sort of seeking justice maneuver. Yeah, he's just a baby that wants to solve murders because puzzles are fun.
Right.
So I think that'll be something that will be interesting to find. It's either going to be that, or they'll just take. It'll be interesting to see if they just take a 180-degree turn, and you don't even see the people Moriarty kills anymore or know a whole lot about them. It's just, here's a murder, and here's Sherlock trying to solve it, and here's Moriarty trying to stop him, or whatever. You're not even going to know anything about the people he kills anymore, and then that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the standard formula for Sherlock Holmes series.
Right.
But, there isn't that much for Moriarty to do after the crime. So I feel like it can't be the Moriarty show if they don't have a lot of that earlier stuff. And it was interesting that the series decided to just become a straight up Sherlock Holmes show for a few episodes. I wasn't quite expecting that. But like the fourth to last episode in particular is just, a study in Scarlet. It's a very straightforward adaptation. There's like no Moriarty in it.
S.
Yeah, a study in S.
I think the Study in S episodes, because that was the ending, right? The two-parter there? Or,
yeah.
No, I can't remember which ones were the ending. But it had my favorite moment in the entire show, which is when they found the dead guy in the train car, the cabin, and Sherlock just looks in and goes, yeah, that's a dead guy. You want to take a look at this?
Yeah.
Well, check this shit out. Take a peek in here. And then, of course, I always like watching them do their crime scene investigation as Victorians, where it's like they're just manhandling the body with their bare fucking hands.
Like, what are they going to do with that evidence?
Yeah, it's like, well, at least there's no DNA around her. This would be completely fucked if they had this ability, because they're just grabbing these dead dudes' faces and hands, reaching into their pockets and all sorts of like bullshit to figure this out. And just knowing how far we've come in general criminal investigation, it's so weird to see that. And it's the same way with almost anything. Like, the video game L.A. Noire is the same way. And that's in 1950s, I think. It's right after World War II, I think. So it's late 40s, early 50s. And you're still just crouching over dead bodies, just picking their noses and shit, trying to find evidence.
Yeah, it's like that John Mulaney bit where he talks about how crimes were solved before DNA testing.
Gross.
Yeah, gross.
Anyway, back to my hunch. Yeah, I really enjoyed the show, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, and that I thought I had any business being at first, just because it felt like it would be I don't know. I guess I didn't give it a whole lot of credit. I was like, oh, it's going to be just a poorly done show focusing on the enemy or whatever, and it's going to be kind of shitty, and it's going to try and just ride off of the credit of, hey, this is a Sherlock Holmes property. Everybody get in here. But it's actually doing a better job of making all the characters and stories interesting than I thought. So I'm looking forward to seeing the next core of it, and maybe William will get a haircut.
Probably not.
Probably not, no, but I can dream. I can dream.
He got a haircut, he just looked like his brother.
Well, then his brother can get a haircut. One of them can get like a flat top, and the other one can get like a... the other one can get like, a FIFA soccer player fade or some bullshit.
Yep.
I don't know, whatever. That's one I definitely enjoy and I'm looking forward to. Kate, what did you watch this season?
Oh, God. I watched Sleepy Princess and Ikebukuro Westgate Park.
Yo, Sleepy Princess kicks ass.
Sleepy Princess is good. It was a fantastic adaptation of the source material, so I'll talk about that first, because I think other people had other things to say about Westgate Park, and I have words. So, Sleepy Princess! I was already a fan of the manga, so, and mostly caught up to the English release of that. And, I was very pleased with how the show turned out. Obviously, the show only covered a fraction of what's available for the manga, but, you know, it's an episodic thing. You don't really require any, like, ongoing storyline. There's no real cliffhanger to speak of. It's just and it was funny that it just happened to work out that they ended with a Christmas episode right at Christmas. How very convenient. And that chapter is in the manga, so it just happened to fall out that way, which was cool. Yeah, looks like the animators had a blast making the show. They threw a lot of neat little things in there that worked out pretty well, and the voice cast sounded fantastic. Overall, I was very pleased. Yeah, what did you guys think that weren't familiar with the manga about the show?
I really liked it, and my brother actually watched it with me. I introduced it to him like the week after I started, because we play video games every Friday, and I said, "You want to watch an anime?" And he said, "Yeah," so I showed him this show, and he really liked it, and was looking forward to watching the episode every week, which says something, because he doesn't watch a ton of anime, and when he does, it's normally like shonen stuff. Like, it's you know, definitely not Sleepy Princess. But yeah, we really liked it, and I really liked the meta humor and the video game references, and you were right, Kate, when you said that it gets more varied, like, once she gets the scissors, and it does more stuff, like, because I know one of the things Kestrel and I were talking about is it was starting to feel a little tired with the premise, but I thought it did, you know, branch out in a way that it kept it being funny and interesting, especially when, you know, the other demon castle came into play, and how it eventually turned into, we thought one of the funniest ongoing jokes was they had board meetings to make sure the heroes would get far but not far enough, so they were like building new levels that the heroes had to go through and like trying to steer them in the proper directions to get to the castle, but not rescue the princess, just get far enough to get stomped when they got there. So,
yeah, it's really funny because they let you go for episodes after episodes, and you're sitting there going, why aren't they just crushing? Why are they trying to help? Like, what is their game here? And then finally they had that one board meeting where he's all like, no, we have to utterly, totally crush them to show them that they have no hope in beating us. And then you kind of find out later why, the demons and the humans are just so at odds with each other anyway, and kind of what everybody was playing at. Yeah, it's funny that they were like, that was what their end game was. But yeah, it's totally video game, where they're just sitting there basically being like, we need this item and this item and this item to give to the hero, so he can make it this far so that we can utterly destroy the hero.
Yeah, it was really fun seeing that. I think my brother and I's favorite henchman, though, was the Blue Frankenstein character.
Oh yeah.
Because he would just say really dumb, random shit. As they were flying, like, I'm getting married next week. Why does anyone give a shit about that? But yeah, we really, really liked it. And it was nice having a fun comedy show in like the stressful year that was 2020, like a show that was just kind of fluffy nonsense comedy, but was still like, it wasn't just like easy slapstick humor or whatever all the time. Like, it had that, but it wasn't that all the time. And of course, it was funny every time she died, to the point that she had to be taught like her life meant something, so that she couldn't just jump in the lava whenever she felt like it. So
yes, Silas is an interesting character because she is both naive but also very talented. So but like not in the way that usually you see anime girls, where they're like, I'm naive because I'm a ditz. It's like she's naive because she's been raised as a princess and doesn't understand how things outside royalty work.
Yeah, she's a fucking sociopath.
Oh yeah.
And there's that too. She's just like, oh, I get resurrected, so therefore killing people is okay because they'll just get resurrected.
Like with her body double in the body double episode, like, just jump in the lava, it's fine. Do it. Fucking do it.
Oh, her eyes during that whole episode too. It was just like probably the scariest thing in the entire show was the way she looked in that episode, where she's just like, no, You're my body double. You have to do this.
For some reason, we always thought it was this hysterical when her eyes became dishpans.
Yeah, that was like how she was through that entire episode. It's like, oh god.
Yeah, every time her eyes got bigger than her entire head, but then it was just like a dot in the middle. We always thought was very humorous. Yeah, it was. Yeah, we really liked it. We wanted to see when those fucking tomato pirates were going to show up, or apple pirates from the opening. They never showed up. We were waiting for them to show up.
I thought they were never going to talk about what the succubus's deal was, because they introduced her like 3 episodes before she actually had like a point. And I'm like, are they even going to get to her? Like, the demon cleric has a name. They did not get that far to like even give you his name. Because there was a chapter built around it, which is really, it's like random.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's right. I guess they didn't. We just called him, like, Demon Cleric.
He's Demon Cleric till you find out later what his real name is.
Wait, I didn't think any of the characters had real names.
They do. Like, the Demon King Twilight.
Quilladillo, baby.
Quilladillo
is my man.
He's a bro. He's a total bro.
And then there's, like, a Scissor Prince, I think, was... The Edward Scissorhands.
Scissor Magician? I can't remember what his actual title is.
Yeah, it seems like most of them were just titles, but I guess a few of them have names.
Well, I think they went by that title as their name. Like, they called Quilladillo, and I think that was just, like, the name of the type of thing he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a bunch like that.
Yeah.
It's like, Demon Cleric actually has a name, but it didn't come up at any point, so...
Oh, and then there's Batty Diamond, which is my favorite. Batty Diamond is definitely my favorite name, even though he only shows up once and then gets quickly turned into a hammer.
It's like, you're now at Blackjack. It's like, oh my god! Yeah, Silas being a total sociopath is fantastic. You very, very, very quickly in the series realize that she could have escaped at any time, and she just didn't.
She really could have. Yeah, she could have just walked the fuck out, but instead she chooses to hang out there.
Well, she doesn't have to do anything.
That's true, and it keeps her away from her fiancé.
That's the other thing that you find out eventually halfway through the show. It's like, oh, that's who your fiancé is. Oh, shit. I love the demons' reactions to that, too. They were like, what?
Well, it took so long, except for Demon Cleric. He knew right away.
Yeah.
Well, all the others, it took such a long time to figure that shit out. So would you say that they, like, accurately represented the humor from the manga and the anime, or do you think it was better because it was in motion? Like, you had the...
It's like the pacing thing. It allowed some of the jokes to breathe better when they're, like, really brief in the, the manga. It's like, blink and you miss it, it's gone, things. And there were a couple things that, like, really nice touches they could add in the anime to some of the, situations and just, visualize the jokes better in a better way. A couple things I didn't catch the first time reading the manga that I went back and looked at again to see if it was, like, somebody's like, was that a reference to, like, I can't remember who it was that asked me if it was a reference to some video game, and then I look back and I'm like, that's in the manga, so yes, when
I asked you about Clock Tower?
Yeah.
When the giant scissors were a reference to Clock Tower.
Yeah, it went totally over my head, and then you pointed that out, and I'm like, oh yeah, it is. It's like,
just the way she would walk with them is like exactly how the giant scissors, like, bad guy walked in the game, like, with them at a weird angle in front of her the whole time. Yeah. Until she started doing that, like, somehow attached to her back deal.
magically holstered.
Yeah, magically holstered on the back. Yeah, I really enjoyed that show as well. Is it getting more? I can't remember. I mean, it definitely could.
It could. I don't know what's
announced. No.
Yeah, I don't think anything's that.
Of course, because this world is not just.
Well, maybe. I mean, who knows? I mean, some shows get a ton of seasons that I would never expect to. So, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, that'd be nice. I'd like it to the point where they could get to some of the later stuff, because I love the holiday stuff that goes on in the manga, and they didn't get to any of that. They did Christmas, but, like, they didn't get to any of the other holidays. The stuff with Valentine's Day and White Day and that stuff is hilarious.
Oh, I'd love to see White Day as it's done in the Demon Castle. That'd be really fun.
So like, yeah, I want them to do more just so we can get all the holiday episodes, and the eventual sleepover that does happen a couple of times. I think got the setup for the sleepover once, and then they didn't get to the end of the other stuff. But comedy is good. We need some comedy. We need to laugh. The world is stupid. We need to laugh.
Kestrel, do you have anything to add about it? I'm sorry.
No, it's fun. I appreciated when all the characters just dropped the pretenses and accepted that they all just love each other and are one big happy family and they all want to live together. Because, they tried to keep up appearances for as long as possible. But then it's like, yeah, I'm just always going to keep coming back here. This is where I want to live. And then they're like, we just want to hang out with you. We'll do whatever you want. We just want you to be happy.
Even though you're a complete nuisance
Yeah.
that regularly murders the henchmen.
And you're supposed to be our hostage. Yeah, it was fun.
Indeed. But yeah, I agree. It was nice to have a comedy show. That is for sure. All right, let's try to fit at least another one in here real quick. I don't know, Castro, if you were feeling about talking about anything in particular, or DJ. I know it's been a while since DJ has said anything, and I'm sure he's itching to talk. You can tell.
Yeah, I mean, if you pick something for me, feel free.
DJ is so invested. He's over there typing out his nudie game.
I will. Oh.
What do I get?
You can,
All right. Well, how about you guys? I want to know what you think of Jujutsu Kaisen, because I know shonens aren't really your thing. So this is another one that apparently you liked, and that's a little bit out of the ordinary because I know that it's relatively uncommon for you to like a shonen.
Relatively. I have a weird relationship with this show. It started off and I was like, this is pretty good. And then like 5 or 6 episodes in, I was like, not really feeling it anymore. And then like 5 episodes later, I was like, kind of feeling it again. So, feeling it right now. I like Gojo a lot. I like the salaryman guy a lot, and I can't remember his name right now. But those two are holding up the series for me. And I'm enjoying my time with it. I don't think it is immensely interesting. I love how it's animated. But it's good. I'm having more fun than I would expect to have with a show of this genre. When I do like shonen, it's typically the darker kind, and this is definitely the darker kind. So that's welcome. And yeah, I'm kind of interested in seeing this through. Does anyone know if the source material is still going and how long it's been going for?
It's definitely still going. Let me check on how many chapters it is up to right now.
I just don't know if like I'm getting into another like long form show or a shonen thing that's gonna be like 2 or 3 seasons up.
Yeah, so it's up to 133 right now, which isn't that long, but could go for another 1,000 chapters.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I mean, he's only found like 2 fingers so far, so got a lot more fingers to eat before he's done.
It's true.
Was this one of those shows that started out kind of like stereotypical and then like evolved or innovated in some way? I know I haven't watched it, and I just saw one article that was like Jujutsu Kaisen has innovated and changed the way we watch shonens or whatever. And I was like, okay, I don't know about all that bullshit.
That's not true.
Yeah, all of a sudden people seem to be really into it, and I'm like, what is going on? Did I miss something?
It's
and
the
then
popular
I'm like,
show this season. Like people are gonna say that about every popular shonen show every season.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been very lucky in recent years to get a series of extremely high quality adaptations of Weekly Shonen Jump series. So yeah, I think it's just the latest example of that. It is a very good shonen show, and it is very well adapted, very well animated, very well directed, very well paced. So I think it's easy to get really excited about it every week. But
I agree.
there's nothing groundbreaking about it.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. It's just like the one detracting factor for me is I don't like any of the other characters. Like none of the main characters are clicking for me. I like the main side dude, I guess, and then the office guy. Like that's
Yeah.
it.
I think I would agree that Gojo and Nanami are the best characters at this point. But I like Yuji a lot.
He's
the
okay. He's just very shonen protagonist.
Yeah, he's shown a protagonist, but I don't know. He's got a lot of fun, good-natured energy without being an obnoxious shonen protagonist, which is a good balance to strike. So I like him. The others, yeah, I don't know. I mean, for more side characters, the two essentially gag characters, I enjoy their gags to some extent. They don't have a lot of variety to them yet, but I like that two major characters are a panda named Panda, and that's never explained, and a guy who can only speak in sushi ingredients. I like both of those things.
Yeah, that's fine. I expected to like them a lot more than I do in practice.
I did expect to like Panda more, it's true.
Yeah, it's like when I hear that, and even when I saw the opening, I'm like, there's a fucking panda like jumping across rooftops. This is gonna be so cool. And then you get to him and it's just like he's just like a panda. That's it.
Yeah, he is a lot more boring in the show itself.
Yeah.
So far.
I'm excited to see him run across rooftops whenever that does happen, though.
And I like that, speaking of handshake events, there's the one just super badass buff guy who's like a hardcore Idol fan.
I liked him too. And the girl that he hung out with. She was cool. I want her to beat me up.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some fun characters in there. It's got, that good shonen balance of, being able to get really dark and serious in its main story, but also have some genuinely funny side moments like that.
I love the fucking Junji Ito fucking enemy evil soul things, and I don't even remember what they're called. The curses.
Yeah.
They're creepy as shit. They look cool. I like them.
Yeah, the show looks amazing, of course. That's like, if nothing else was going right with it, it's still by far the best animated show this season.
Oh yeah, it's like not even close.
Yeah.
Didn't someone get married like right away in this? Or am I thinking of a
You're
different
thinking
show?
of a different show.
Yeah.
That's Tony Kakukawai.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Because once again I just saw an article. It was like someone got married on episode 3 and it ruined the show. And I was like, what show could possibly be that way?
Maybe they're talking about a different show because they get married in episode 1, and that's the whole point of the show. And that's the premise of the show.
Jesus.
So it must be something else. Yeah, no, that show is literally just our cute young marriage. That's it.
Yeah, but like that's not it though.
Well, that's not it, but that's it. So far, that's it.
It's like, are they going to give us more? Because I feel like completely left out of something really huge that's just never touched on.
Yeah, it does have a strangely plot-based premise that is never addressed at all and doesn't matter at all. I guess more of window dressing.
It's so confusing. Like the entire show is like, man, can't wait to figure out what's going on here. And it's just never brought up. So
yep. It's like
to fucking look up source material now, I guess.
It's like that was the original story, and there's some other series out there that like really explores that seriously, and this is just like the slice of life spinoff.
Oh man. That sounds true.
That's what it feels like.
It really does.
It's like the Juju scroll things at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like those bits are the entire series.
Oh man. Yeah, that show was pleasantly surprising.
Yeah.
Got like that weird today's day children aesthetic going on. Where it's
Yeah,
just
you mentioned that
like
last time. It's
super
true.
anime and cutesy.
Yeah, very simplistic designs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does a good job with them, and it's surprisingly engaging. Bad pun. All the way through.
Engaging.
Guess they never really were engaged though. Just
Yeah, they
considering
kind of weren't. Marriage in
considering
Japan
the-
seems easy as shit. I just want
Yeah,
to throw
right.
that out there.
well,
I got married
got
at like fucking 2 a.m. Just like went to a place, signed a paper, and got a plant. That was what they
I mean,
did.
you can do that here if you go to Vegas.
I mean,
True.
as someone who got married this year without much fanfare, I can confirm that that's basically all you do.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Did you get a plant?
Yeah,
We need to get a plant. I think that's a Japan thing. Yeah,
it
we're
was the
not
same
cool
for
enough
Emily
here.
and I as well. Like the actual marriage ceremony doesn't really, honestly, in the legal eyes of the United States, doesn't really fucking matter.
Yeah, like them just walking over to the office and like signing the marriage certificate, like that would, because this started in October, so it was like 6 months after we did like the exact same thing. Like it was eerie how similar it was. We had like
Our
a tiny
marriage
little
office
ceremony
was
too.
in a weird, fucked up situation when we went, like in a very interesting way. But I guess they were shifting the desks around, and the desk that we were sitting at for like the marriage person to like fill out the license, behind her was the Lancaster County Obituary Archives.
Nice.
I was like, this is fucking interesting. Yeah, it was just binders and binders and binders of like going back all the way to the early 1900s of just all the obituaries they have. I was like, this is fucking insane. And not a very good portend either for most
Right.
people.
Yeah. Yeah, but the show, considering how little happens in it, and how simplistic everything about it is, yeah, it was surprisingly very charming all the way through. I was always having a good time, and I liked it more as it went on. I liked the characters. I like Tsukasa way more. But yeah, I like a lot of the characters quite a bit. And one of the last episodes, they literally just play Street Fighter the entire episode, and it's not even like, a road brawler or something. It's 100% just footage of the video game Street Fighter V on screen. That's it.
I love
It's
this.
crazy. Yeah, it was wild. Like, I was not expecting that.
Oh, so they pull like a high score girl, which just like, these are the video games.
Yeah, I haven't
Here it
seen that,
is.
but yeah, it's literally they just talk about the Street Fighter franchise and the history of it and show you their screen where they're playing literally Street Fighter games 100% for the entire episode.
Yeah, I feel like the creator might have liked Street Fighter a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a tad. I mean, Street Fighter is good. I used to play it a lot with one
No
of my
Tekken.
friends who... I do like Tekken a little better, in all honesty, but that's just because I like the tempo of Tekken more than Street Fighter,
It's a lot slower. Yeah,
which is better for me.
same.
Uh,
Tekken's
kinda
like the only
Sam-
fighting game I actually enjoy.
You would like Samurai Showdown, too.
I have not
'Cause
played
it's-
that.
That is also very slow.
I do
pace
like
kinda
Samurais
game.
as well.
Yeah, so there you go. It has two things that would interest you. Yeah, I have a friend who just plays basically nothing but fighter games, so like fighting games. So he has all of the ones, even the ones that are really like long ass Japanese titles. Because it'll be like Under Night in Birth X Stella
Yep.
Unre 100 to you or whatever.
Yeah.
It's all just Guilty Gear.
It's ridiculous.
Indeed. All right. Let's see. Well, we definitely have other shows to talk about. I mean, those are the only two shows that I've really finished. I know I started watching a couple others, but just with house stuff, it was even like I had to blitz through a couple to get to finish Moriarty. I did that like a couple days ago. But I know you guys have other stuff. Let's see. So am I gonna have to pick another thing? Is that how we're gonna do this?
Go ahead and
Sure.
pick another thing.
I can pick a
Okay.
thing.
Ooh,
Pick a
okay.
thing.
I want to talk about Attack on Titan.
Ooh,
Do it.
Yeah, do that.
Whatever.
I haven't watched that
Who
yet.
cares?
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't.
Jeez.
No. I've been
Oh,
like
man.
waiting for like the period that we're in now, where everything's done and I have nothing else to watch. So
Mhm. Nice. Yeah. So this is only 4 episodes in because it started at a weird point. And this season is called the final season, but like season 3, it will probably be split into 2 actual seasons because it's only going to be 16 episodes right now. And that's definitely not enough time to finish the story. So it will almost certainly be at least 1 more core. I think the manga is about to end in a few months, so there's going to be like 3 more chapters maybe. So I think based on their normal adaptation pacing, 1 more core after this, or maybe a slightly longer one like the 16 episodes, should be enough to wrap it up. Anyway, so Attack on Titan, obviously last season was insanely good. It has my favorite episode of anything ever. And there was a lot of worry going into this one because they changed everyone involved, new studio, new staff across the board. And it's a very different season. So far, it's not super spoilery to say none of the main characters have appeared. Basically. One of them might appear a little bit in the last couple episodes, but is not identified until the very end of the last one. So it's a very different kind of show already. Also, there is a significant time skip that is kind of out of left field and unaccounted for.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So a lot of things very different. Also, the setting is entirely different, which was probably going to be the case even if it directly followed the main characters and didn't skip any time. So everything's totally different, which is, kind of the best timing you can have, I guess, if you're going to change your whole staff. Because at least when things look and feel a little different, it's kind of appropriate because you're in a different setting with different characters 4 years later. I'll just throw that out there because you find out immediately that it's 4 years later, which is 5 years after everything except the last scene of the previous season. So, yeah, a lot of things are different. I would say it is a step down in a lot of respects. And, this is not as strong of material in general, which isn't too surprising. And these 4 episodes, I think, so far have formed sort of a prologue to what this season is going to be. Because, like I said, you don't really begin to catch up with the existing story until the very end of this 4th one. So you get a lot of background into how the enemy works, and that, a lot of these people in this other world, in this other land that we're going to be coming into and invading and attacking, most likely, are not bad people, but they will be enemies because they have been horribly brainwashed and indoctrinated and oppressed into and propagandized into, Stockholm syndrome and believing themselves inferior and internalizing all that. And it's a pretty harsh view on a lot of real world themes involving fascism. And yeah, I am shocked that people think that Attack on Titan stands for any of those things, because it is a pretty telling indictment of all of them in no uncertain terms. But yeah, it's a pretty fascinating exploration of all that so far, and I'm definitely interested to see how those 2 worlds collide now that we've really delved into this background on the other side. But in terms of production quality, it's not on the level that Wit Studio was. There hasn't been a ton of action comparatively, but there are some scenes, especially in the 3rd episode of the season, where they cut back and forth between flashbacks and then they're all flashbacks, but they have extended version of the scene that's from a different perspective, so you get to find out, what was going on during that scene, and you can definitely tell that it's 2 different teams that worked on them. which is unfortunate. It's a little jarring sometimes. I think the most notable difference is that the Titans that are like the, intelligent, distinct Titans are almost always rendered in CG. And I was a little worried about use of CG because basically the entire team is the Dorohedoro team. And it looks a little like the CG on that. I think it's a little more cleaned up and blends in with the 2D materials a little bit better. But yeah, it's a step down in a few ways. The colors aren't as rich, the lines aren't as bold, the animation isn't as dynamic yet, but it hasn't had quite as much opportunity to be. So yeah, it's not the best Attack on Titan has ever been, but that series is just so good at this point that even that noticeable step down still leaves it as like, after 4 episodes, there's no way that this isn't my best anime of the year, which is kind of crazy.
Did we ever find out the reason for the studio switch, or is that still not really a thing that we know?
We'll probably never get like a full answer. There's probably a lot of politics involved that we're not going to be made privy to. A few of the reasons that they've given, I think the only reason they've explicitly given is that for the final season, the scope was going to be so much bigger that they wanted a studio that is much bigger. And so I'm reviewing this season, and I've written definitely over 1,000 words about each episode so far. But the first episode, I went into like all the background and all the stuff on the production, which I wrote like several thousand words just about that. So, a few bits of evidence and conjecture in there. So as far as studio size, Mappa is certainly a much bigger studio than Wit Studio. However, that's employees, where most studios primarily use freelancers. So that's not always that relevant. And I think most importantly, and this shows a lot between various studios, is that Wit Studio has traditionally always focused on a single production at a time. And for Attack on Titan in particular, that's their baby. They've always made sure that all of their top staff is dedicated to that, and that it is just the best product it can possibly be. And even when they've cut corners in the past, they've done it in ways that are much less noticeable than most budget constraints and the results of those. So like in season 1, there's an episode where you get the same shot of Levi plastered in a bunch of different backgrounds, but you don't really notice that unless you're looking for it. And then the scenes that have to fucking blow your mind, they fucking blow your mind because they work on those first and make sure they are perfect so that they can, maybe cut and paste a few scenes of Levi here and there in other parts of the episode that are a little more static. So Wit Studio has always really put its all into making sure that Attack on Titan looked and felt as amazing as possible. And that's showed, even back in that first season when they were a brand new studio. Mappa, they had 3 series going on for a little bit of this season. And they're going to continue having 2 into the next one. And Jujutsu Kaisen looks a lot better than Attack on Titan right now. So, it's easy to see that if they were a studio that only worked on one thing at a time, maybe Attack on Titan would look even better than it ever looked from Wit Studio. But, I can't guarantee that just because they're airing at the same time, their productions overlapped in the same way. But it seems like they have a stronger set of staff working on a different show, which is great for that show, but it's unfortunate for, the final season of something that has been treated with such care for so long. So that's one reason they gave, is that they want a bigger studio. And while it's true that they're a bigger studio, it doesn't appear that they are giving it as much attention and dedicated resources, at least in terms of highest quality resources as Wit might. Another reason that I see is that because Wit Studio is a small studio and focuses on one production at a time, if they have to keep making seasons of Attack on Titan every year, then that, doesn't leave them with much else to do. And, they had a pretty ambitious 2-core original series on Netflix this year. And I don't know that they would have been able to do that if they were doing another season of Attack on Titan. So I think another reason is that they want to branch out more and not be so tethered down to that one series that has defined them.
It's such a good thing to be defined by, though.
I know, but it's like, after so many iterations of the same thing, you just want to spread your wings a little bit.
I get that. It's just, I don't know. It feels so weird that it's like the last and happened. And I still haven't watched it yet, but it's just like fundamentally it's strange. Like, just finish it up. Just do it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think it would have been in better hands because like the studio's one thing, but like Araki's direction and Koizuka as his protege working under him, you just can't match that. And they try their best to match the aesthetic that had been established by the character designer and everyone involved in the previous seasons. But you can only imitate others so well. But it's still very good. Like, it's not a One Punch Man or a Berserk or any of those situations where it just got destroyed. It's just, it's a little not quite as perfect.
Not quite as perfect.
Yeah. Which is a complaint at this point for that series because it has gotten perfect at times.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I think I'm in DJ's boat as well, where I was waiting for it to be done to watch it, just so I didn't have to wait on anything, because I don't have a very good history of picking things back up if I have to wait like a significant period of time to watch like another season or whatever. So just being able to watch it all at once is ideal. So it's good to see that is going to very soon be a possibility.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly when that will be because, like I said, it's definitely not wrapping up at the end of March. Maybe the manga will wrap up at the end of March, maybe April or so. But there's no telling when the second part of the final season will be coming. It could be just a little split core and it'll be over by, September? Or it could be like season 3 and we don't get the other half until 2022. So no telling at this point. Yeah.
That should be like the gap between fucking season 1 and 2.
No.
Wait 5 years for it.
I don't think they'll do that again since they're calling it the final season.
Studio by that time, like Studio Field's gonna pick it up and everybody's gonna be really bright and shiny.
Right. They're all gonna look like K-pop boys.
Everyone's cheeks are going to be rosy red and bubbly.
Oh man, that's the Mikasa I want to see.
Yeah, no, I think at this point, the final season is the final season. Nothing is going to change about production. It's just taking a break from that time slot, letting the manga end, and then coming back for another core. Hopefully, after 1 or 2 cores off, maybe after up to a year. No telling at this point.
Very good. Very good. Well, I know we're crawling up to the time that we normally stop, so I don't know if you guys want to do some just rapid fire ones real quick, because I know your lists are still quite long, and we've talked about the 2 shows I finished, and Kate, I know you said you had some stuff to talk about IWGP, if you wanted to talk about that real quick, because DJ did finish it, I guess?
Oh, I finished
it. It's at the bottom of your list, but you finished it.
It is a show that I watched.
Ah, very good. Glowing recommendation.
I actually enjoyed the show a lot more than I did after the first 3 episodes. And I thought it ended very well. But like I was talking with Kestrel before the show started, that I think I have a soft spot for procedural, like, episodic television. that used to dominate the airwaves that does not dominate the airwaves in the U.S. in a long time, and Westgate Park kind of scratched that itch of like old, like prior to the Netflix era, network television dramas that used to air regularly in the U.S. So, yeah, I like that show. I liked Makoto as a character. I thought it was fun to watch him go around and try to like mediate between different groups of people, to try to keep the peace in his neighborhood, which is basically neighborhood being a town because he's the entire Ikebukuro area. But and the way that everything kind of wound up to a really stupidly, like, the people should have known better that you were being set up sort of final confrontation. But it was fun to watch him running through the streets with a gun trying to escape people. Spoilers. But we finally got the gang war that we were promised in the opening credits at the very end of the series. And the show looked good all the way throughout, and the music was fantastic. So, yeah, it's just a bit of a shame that they front-loaded the series with the goofier, less sympathetic side characters, and then kind of piled in all the interesting side characters after the first 3 episodes, where a lot of people usually drop shows. So that was unfortunate show planning on their part, but I enjoyed it. I wouldn't mind seeing more of it. I don't think we're getting more of it. The ending was open-ended, but it's just, like I said, it's episodic. There wasn't really much of a through point. There was a little bit of a through point, and they did wrap everything up, and they did seed stuff for that final episode about where who their enemy, had designs on their plot of land, and who was trying to muscle in and make money off of these kids. And they do address the fact that they are kids towards the end, and that if it had been a American gang war, it would have gone very differently. So
yeah, I liked when red-haired guy said that.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, this would have all ended very early, very differently. And the fact that it almost ended that way. It was approaching the point where it was about to turn into an all-out street war with guns blazing, but averted. Spoilers, averted. But I don't know. I enjoyed the show. It was something that we don't get a lot of, which is an anime with absolutely no science fiction or fantasy elements. No superpowers, no overpowered characters, just people being people bound by the rules of physics in this universe in a real place. So.
Yeah, but do they fight with rapping?
No.
They don't. If they did, that would have gotten them another 0.5 points in my book.
All the way up to a 6.
All the way up to a 6. Yeah, there were 3 weeks where I was all about the rap battle anime, and then it kept going. I was like, okay, it's too much.
The joke is old.
Yeah, it's it got really old. Yeah, I didn't like IWGP nearly as much, if at all. I thought it was just a compilation of forced drama, but the drama that they were forcing was just silly. And then they waited until the last 2 episodes to actually do something. And by that time, it was I already didn't care. And so it's just it felt like the series expected me to just be all about this huge ass gang war featuring characters I never grew fond of because they've spent the last 10 episodes fucking fighting for better wages of curry employees and robbing a weed store. And so it's
That was a really fun episode, though, I gotta admit. I enjoyed watching that.
It was fine, I guess. I just never had any idea what they wanted to do because it felt like they just kept changing it. The entire
series
was
problem.
just establishing like the gangs as like good guy gangs and like fighting for good stuff. And then out of nowhere, the
dancing.
Yakuza shows up, and it's like, take guns and kill each other. And they were all just like, okay. And it just felt weird to me. So I didn't like it.
See, this is the problem, because see, like that's the whole thing. You're like, why isn't this a thorough storyline? Why isn't it? But they did set up that stuff. They did set up the stuff that the Yakuza were honing in on the territory.
Yeah, with the connection to short-haired guy and stuff. But it just, I don't know.
I love that DJ is so invested in the characters that he only
Clearly
refers
the
to them
show-
by their hairstyles.
See, clearly,
Just how little I cared about them. I only know Makoto and King. Those are the only guys I know the name of. And I don't want to like spoil anything. Like even the way things ended for King, I feel like we're completely antithetical to the message they tried to deliver with that, again, forced drama scene involving the little girl that I'm talking
yeah,
about.
that was patently
straight out of a
ridiculous.
fucking, like,
But I was all like,
daytime
of course. Yeah, that was hilarious. That was like, what? Okay, I'm like, okay, now you're just being dramatic for the sake of being dramatic. But they like
what the
totally like 2 seconds
last
later,
two
like, yeah, that
episodes felt
didn't
like
really matter.
to me. It was they kept like throwing the most dramatic thing possible in, and just expecting me to be like, oh fuck. So
I mean,
I never
at
bit.
that point, that was almost just like lol parody moment. But
it was silly.
the Makoto screaming his name or whatever. But I think that was just to show like how goofy Makoto could get, at certain moments where he's just like, no way, that happened. It's all like he's a himbo. Makoto's a himbo.
Really wish the series lived up to the one episode with the dad like trying to make amends for his son's death and shit, because that was a really good episode. Like that was
There were
one
a
of my
couple
favorite
episodes
episodes.
I think that's the last
in
one
the
I
entire
watched.
season. It's a good way to end, Kane, because that's like that was the high point. It was such a good episode, and then everything after that is just like back to silly old G-boys stuff.
Oh,
Learning how YouTube works.
What about the episode where the girl was all like, kill this guy for me, and then you find out why? That was pretty good too.
Yeah, that one was fine. I didn't dislike that episode. It was like the last good episode. I think it was like 10 or something.
Yeah,
like
I
right
don't know,
before the
something-
final
it was
arc.
late.
Yeah, that one was
It
fine
was
too.
late. It was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
I like, considering some of the stuff that's supposed to be more adult that I watched that ends up being just like a wet fart. This was actually really good for what it was doing.
I feel
But
like
you have to be up on board for what it's doing, which it does feel very much like older. This is on general television, so we have to make it appeal to a larger base than, sort of thing.
it very much felt like an adapted series of novels. Like every single thing that happened was kind of detached from the previous one and just focused on one tiny mystery that Makoto had to deal with. And so it's like, I get that, but I don't think they worked well as a whole. So if I was gonna like read the series, I'd probably like it more. It was boring as an anime to me.
And there you go. Those were our opinions.
Yeah, that is a shame. I feel like more often than not, I'm disappointed by animes, and I don't know the best way to put this, but basically animes attempts to tell like adult stories with adults that are grounded in reality. It doesn't seem to happen all that often, because there was this, and then there was, man, I can't remember the name anymore, but the one that Castro, you and I watched at the ending was just so bad.
Oh, yeah. Babylon?
Yeah, I think Babylon is right. Yeah, the one about lots of murder and
Suicide.
people being,
There was a lot of talking in
tricked
that
into
show.
suicide. Yeah, there was a lot of talking.
I couldn't keep up. That's why I
It
dropped
had
it
a
after like
lot-
2 episodes. I was just like, I can't do this.
It had a lot of interesting ideas at first, and it did not know where to go with them.
Yep, it didn't deliver on any of them. But yeah, I just have a bad luck streak with those that tells, I guess, what IWGP was supposed to be in my mind was another like serious drama with adult characters that just
Except
didn't.
for most of the characters were teenagers in this show, but Except for
Yeah,
my
as
brother.
adult as it gets in a way.
Yeah.
I suppose.
If you're above 15 in anime, you're an adult.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
Makoto's in his
kinda, yeah.
20s, so
Yeah, he's
Yeah, I
basically
mean-
only
grandpa.
stated, but
I remember in the previous season of Attack on Titan, after all the shit goes down, and we're reminded that the entire main cast is still 15.
Yep.
It's like, what the fuck?
It's so wild.
What was? Oh man, and then there was another one that didn't pan out either. That was like last season. It was the romance one. Sing Yesterday for me. I think.
Oh god. Ah!
Hey, bring that up.
Yeah, those are both series that I watched all the way through and had final episodes that absolutely ruined any potential.
Yep.
Oh my
Wow.
Completely
god.
wiped the slate.
Yeah.
Straight up should have it would have been like 3 letter grades higher if I just didn't watch the last episode.
It was. Yeah, it was
It
at
really
the top of your
was.
list.
Had it like an
with
A
like an
minus.
A, yeah. An A minus.
Yeah, if only
Which
it
one-
would have gone back on every goodwill it built up throughout the whole series.
Oh, what a
God.
freaking waste of a show.
which was that the show that the director's gone into hiding on?
I hope.
I
looking
did not hear about
I
that.
mean, no, it wasn't the director. It was like the original creator. I don't know who it was.
Oh, yeah, it was
Something
made
I
a
was
long
looking
time
at-
ago. I don't know what happened to him.
No, I don't know. When was that? When did that show happen?
Well, that show happened in spring, but the manga's from the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
hope
the
the manga
source
didn't
material's
end
been
like
around
that.
for quite some time.
Something recently, the director or somebody went into hiding, and they're like, "We don't know where this guy went."
Interesting. Yeah, I
He's
didn't hear that.
ashamed. God,
Tisk, tisk.
fuck that show. I'm so mad.
Sorry, I brought it up.
It's like so rare that I like something so much and then just get insulted by the ending. Like
Yeah,
that.
that was bad.
The only other time that's happened, I think, was Charlotte.
Uh-huh.
May I introduce you to a show called Escaflowne?
Does that
I haven't
also do
seen
that?
that yet.
Because I've like kind of wanted to watch that for a long time.
Great, don't watch the last 20 minutes of the last episode.
Thank you. Just knock that down like 50 more spots on my list.
Just keep it at the penultimate episode, and I guess you'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like how there are several prominent American shows that are going real good until that final season.
I mean, there's one in particular.
There are like
There are
four
more than
in
that.
particular. There's like, what are you thinking of? Game of Thrones?
Well, yeah, because that's the one that had the
There's
most backlash.
Game
People
of
still- well,
Thrones.
yeah, people still, if they talk about the show at all anymore, it's only to shit on that last.
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't hate it as much as most people.
Here's the thing.
Let's name them off. Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Lost.
Uh,
Dexter.
I was going to say Dexter, yep. House of Cards, which had problems with, the production. Obviously, if that didn't happen at that time, maybe it could have had a good final season. But man, it didn't have to be that bad, especially the final episode. Jesus. Now, Scrubs is an acceptable case because it had an ending and then it had an extra season, but the extra season doesn't have to exist. So that one's fine. You can just ignore it easily.
Oh, Parks and Rec
How I
did the
Met Your
exact
Mother.
opposite.
Parks and Rec, yeah, has a great ending, yeah.
No, I think
How I
Parks
Met
and
Your
Rec's
Mother.
ending
People were
is
pissed
shit.
off.
You think the Parks and Rec ending is shit?
Yeah, I don't think I needed that last season of time skip where everyone just gets to do whatever they want all the time without any consequences whatsoever, and there's a big concert and everyone's great. I was
Oh,
like,
shit,
that was
that,
good.
that actually does make it sound kind of bad.
That's because that's what happens. It's
I
the same
know,
with
it's
The
just
Office.
like wording it like that. It's
It's the
different
same
from
with The
how
Office
everyone
final
else I know
season.
has talked about that
Yeah.
season.
I mean, yeah, obviously it's going to be the same as The Office, but like in shows like that, I feel like that's acceptable. Like you just want to have fun and hang out with these characters in this enjoyable way. I don't really have a problem with how they did that.
The
Like
news
if they were
did that
plot
too.
driven or something, then it would be an issue. But they're comedies. I don't know.
I mean,
Seemed
they're
like it would
comedies
to me.
with a plot.
Yeah,
There is a plot that weaves through it. You're not watching whose line is it anyway.
yeah, but I mean, the final seasons of both of those shows have more plot than the rest of them ever did. It's
Well,
just more
Those last two
conveniences,
seasons
I
of
guess.
both those shows were just victory laps, and they should have
Yeah.
never happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, The Office again had a problem of losing its lead actor, so I think its final season was a lot better than like the previous one that Steve Carell wasn't in. but the final episode was very good. And Parks and Rec, yeah, I didn't need to have the time skip, I guess, but I don't know. I thought that everything that happened in the final season was very enjoyable.
I want to throw it out there that I also loved The Office without Steve Carell because Robert California is probably the coolest guy to ever exist.
He was interesting.
He was very interesting.
So badass. Oh, that's another thing I got for Christmas. My brother got me a pop figure of Kevin and Jim.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a pop figure of Robert California.
Right, I was totally expecting that.
I don't think that they have a pop figure of Robert California, but I hope they do.
Yeah, so I don't know how that tangent even entered that area. We're definitely past where we usually talk about stuff. I don't know if we want to talk about a few more things very quickly or just
Lightning
move on, because I got a lot of thoughts about a lot of stuff that's left, and we definitely don't have time for it.
I mean, this is how it always goes. I mean, when you have 25 shows, we're not
I
going
had
to get to all
20.
of them.
I had 20.
Save them for the year in review episode.
Well, it's not like we're going to talk about everything we watched in the year. We're going to talk about our favorites, and these aren't necessarily that.
Okay, lightning round them then.
Okay, yeah. The ones I have lots of things to say about that I won't say lots of things about right now. Great Pretender, did you watch the second half of this, Kane?
No, I haven't yet.
Okay.
I got to the end of the like plane race story arc.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the last 9 episodes of this came out. It's all one big arc. And it show is really good in a lot of ways, and I want to really love it. But I have a problem with the fact that by its nature, it is incapable of being sincere about anything. And it kind of addresses that fact about itself several times, but it never stops being kind of a problem. Everything else about it is incredible, and it could have been a masterpiece. Akudama Drive, I feel like no one else I know has ever said a word about this or knows anything about it. But it's an anime original. It's by the creators of Danganronpa, I think. And I think it must be by like the character designer of Persona or something, Persona 5 at least, because they look very much like those characters. And it's a big Hollywood action movie where all the episodes are named after Hollywood action movies, or Hollywood movies anyway. And it's a high science fiction, I don't know, futuristic, high concept, that's the word I was looking for. Future story with a lot of backstory, and the characters are very expendable, so don't get attached to anyone. And Wandering Witch is fucking wild, and the final episode weirdly makes it all make sense, potentially,
Yeah.
in a weird way that it doesn't explicitly address, but kind of implies that the thing I've kind of been saying about it all along could be true, which I was not expecting, and makes it more similar to Space Dandy than any other anime, which I never thought I would see.
Man, that show went places, huh?
Yeah, it is wild. And sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it, and most of the time I'm not sure which it is. It's really weird, and I wasn't expecting anything about that at all. And The Day I Became a God is a show I thought that I'd spend a lot of this episode arguing with DJ about, but we didn't get to it. So I don't like it, and I wish I didn't watch it.
Oh, that's the one with the guy that went into hiding.
Oh, really?
I think
No,
so.
that's Jun Maeda.
Yeah.
He's not in hiding. He is readily apparent for all of us.
No, he apparently deleted his Twitter account, and the voice actors were on something, and they're being cagey, like, yeah, we don't know what he's up to.
Oh, he might be sick again. He gets sick a lot.
Yeah,
That sucks.
He gets key illness.
Yeah.
He wrote it into existence, now he has it.
Yeah, that's a show that I did like a lot. I'll do my lightning round now. Just opposite of Kestrel. I liked it a lot, and I'm glad I watched it. What else I got? Hypnosis Mike. rap battling isn't as great as I expected it to be, which was kind of great, and then it wasn't great at all. So, rap battling. Muno no Nana, or Talentless Nana, was also really bad, but got kind of okay by the end. Assault Lily, the new Shaft show. Solid action, decent characters, but it suffers from mobile game syndrome, that it just wasn't a fun anime to watch. Higurashi is still fucking weird. I don't really know what they're doing, but the current arc is definitely the best new one so far, and it's the anti-child abuse arc. Hooray!
Didn't that end?
No, that one is 5 episodes as opposed to 4 from the other ones.
I thought the entire series ended.
Higurashi? No, it's not done. It's 24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's still going, and I'm really hoping that the final arc pulls it together, because that was like the big one in the original series. So I'm still holding out for it to not be just mediocre in my book anymore, because it's a 7 out of 10 of a show that like is a top 10 show. Taiso Samurai is awesome. Just gymnastics, return to form, feel good sports show. Another feel good sports show is Sport Climbing Girls, which is my biggest surprise of the year. I actually really loved it, and I did not expect to at all. Wandering Witch, wild, like Kestrel said. Very enjoyable. I like Elena a lot, and I like all of the dimensions of Elena a lot. I got to see all of them at once, so that was cool. D4DJ, Bang Dream, but EDM music, awesome. And Adachi and Shimamura is another fantastic Yuri series, and it's super wholesome because they managed to go the fucking entire season without even admitting their feelings. So Kane would hate it. And
I was gonna say.
That sounds like something I would despise.
all they do is hug, and it's great. I love it.
That's like explicitly less gay than Love Live.
Yeah, it was less gay than Love Live. Like it's clearly like a one-dimensional romance show right now, but the writing's so fucking good. It's like absurdly good. It doesn't deserve to be this good. I like actually went out and bought the light novels, and I never buy light novels because I just wanted to see like how they measure up, and the light novels are the same. So I feel like they just pulled a lot of the text directly from it, put it into monologue form, which I'm all about because it works really well as a series.
I know I brought this up when I looked him up the last time you were talking about this, but you should probably check out that Bloom Into You spinoff that the same creator wrote.
I will definitely do that. He did the Ayaka was her name, right?
Sayaka, right?
Sayaka, that was it. Yeah, it was her spinoff. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'd be all about it. Okay, yeah, that's my lightning round.
Excellent. Cool. I think that
we're
about
good.
wraps it up then, because I don't have one of those to do.
No, me neither.
So what shows have you not finished then? Because you were watching at least one or two others, right, Kane?
I did not finish IWGP, and I did not finish Wandering Witch.
Right.
And then technically Great Pretender, I guess, since that counts. I always kind of forget Netflix shows since they don't work in the same way.
I don't usually include them, but I watched the entire second core within this season. I might as well include it for the end.
Yeah, that's it. So I may get around to finishing those. I don't know. It may be Wandering Witch. IWGP doesn't seem like something I want to invest my time in.
I think DJ was being overly harsh on it. But
I'm overly harsh
there's
on a lot
so many
of
good
things.
shows.
I either
There
fucking praise the shit out of stuff that doesn't deserve it, or just annihilate the things that don't deserve it. So I go
You're
to
one for extremes. Yeah, exactly.
Something is either the greatest thing to ever happen to you or the worst thing to ever happen to you.
It's just the kind of guy I am.
I have a friend who only speaks in extremes like that, and it makes sense because middle ground is boring to talk about.
Yeah, I'm an excitable person.
All right. Does anybody have anything they want to recommend? Recommend? Yep. Okay, it's late. Words. What I said.
would like to recommend Lessons in Love, a popular dating sim
God.
created by me. I'm at $6,000 a month now. That's cool. You should
Holy
give
shit.
me more because I feed off of your money. And yeah, so that's getting big.
You heard the man. He loves the blue ball people.
I do. Yeah.
just-
We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary soon. And you can only have sex with like 3 of the girls out of 20.
Maybe you throw these people a bone, literally, and
I get it. Like that's a sex joke. Like boner.
How many parts is 0.12.0 gonna have?
How many parts? What do you mean?
Yeah, because I think it's funny because you said in your thing on Discord
yeah,
this says
I separate the updates
0.12
into there's a
part
part
1.
1 and a part 2 of every update since it's 2-week updates. Fun fact, it's longer than Lord of the Rings now.
oh my god,
Yeah.
dude, what are you doing?
How long does this thing have to be to hit version 1?
Oh, it's
I was gonna ask that question next.
gonna be fucking long. Like it'll be years.
Is there even a uniform way to figure that out?
Well,
Like
it's
when you jump from like say a .1 to a .2 all the way up to
the
1.
I can tell you how to do it in my
release is
business.
the complete game. And so like the middle number is like a sub release. So every time I release a part, that number goes up. So it won't be 100 until the game is done, and it won't be done for years.
So there's
Oh,
88
God.
parts left.
No, more than that probably.
Oh god.
I
So
guess if each one's a part 1
It's
or
a long
part 2,
fucking
that'd make
game.
it 176.
I don't know, man. I don't have it all planned out yet.
The ice caps are gonna melt, and DJ's gonna be on his
Yeah,
private yacht.
I'm
sailing
gonna have
around,
to have a
still writing
kid
it.
so that they can finish writing the game.
does that mean that 1.0.0 is the last release?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's not how it normally goes.
I can tell you for semantic versioning of like applications that you write software for, it is first version is completely breaking change rewrite. Second version is new features. Third is bug fixes. Fourth is hot fixes released outside of normal.
Oh, there's a
windows.
4-part versioning thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way it works for like this specific sect of the indie game community, it's like first one's final release, then major release, and then hotfix.
Mhm.
Just 3 numbers.
Educational.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's as good of a time as any to end, unless there are some
Well,
burning recommendations from
yeah,
anyone
let's-
else.
Let's get some recommendations out here. So, for stuff coming out in the next few weeks, not a ton really jumping out at me. Fruits Basket Season 2 is getting its first limited edition release next couple weeks from now, which is, I think, going to have the box that holds like all 5 cores. So that looks pretty nice. And I think that's all I've really got for anime. But if you have Disney Plus, watch Soul. It's really good.
I don't really have anything to recommend that I haven't already, but I will just say buy the new Lupin the Third movie. Because it's just getting glowing reviews, and the steelbook is very pretty. So it's a steelbook that's worth owning. So go ahead and pre-order that from Shout Factory, not from Amazon.
Yeah, I was
Shout
just
Factory.
starting to think about switching some of my orders back from Right Stuff to Amazon, because Right Stuff takes 3 weeks to ship and Amazon takes 2 days.
Well, okay, Right Stuff is explicitly said on their website. Oh, our people are on vacation,
Yeah,
so please have patience.
but it's not Right Stuff. It's just
The postal service.
yeah. So I can get
I mean, I've had Amazon stuff that took a really long time as well, because if they utilized
Yeah.
the USPS rather than a
But do you have
third-party
Prime
carrier.
though?
I do, yeah.
Huh? Because I always get my stuff like immediately, and it's always UPS from Amazon.
No, Amazon also utilizes USPS and other things as well.
Now they drive their own fucking vans around here.
Yeah, I've heard about
It's really
that.
weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
every
and-
every Amazon package I've got has been UPS so far.
Oh, weird.
I guess you're lucky then.
Yeah.
Or you're
But-
only
Because they
ordering
totally
things.
ship.
Well, technically that means you're basically only ordering things for the most part that makes them money.
That's probably true. Yes, I do not order from any third parties on Amazon.
No, I meant like you're ordering stuff that has enough dollar value that it makes them money. So, like if you ordered a lot of Amazon Basic stuff, you may get that USPS because
Oh, okay.
I've talked to some people who do USPS stuff, and they said basically Amazon contracts the USPS stuff out for orders that have items that aren't worth them shipping and spending the money.
That makes sense.
So, like if you're ordering USB cables and shit like that, you'll get those USPS
Okay, yeah.
most likely.
But yeah, speaking of things I got 3 weeks after they shipped, so last time I recommended the Violet Evergarden Limited Edition, and I said it was on its way 3 weeks ago, and it sure was. I just got it last night, and god damn, it's a gorgeous set. I don't think you can get it anymore, but if you find one floating around, man, it's nice. And it's got, a 200-page book with tons of insight from all the staff and production art and all kinds of beautiful artwork. Oh, man. So much went into that series. Like, they worked so hard to make it just perfect.
Oh, and I'll quickly, once again, not recommend buying Akira on 4K yet.
Yeah, by the way, a little addendum
Because it's
to
even
that.
worse than before.
Well, it's better in some ways and worse in others. Better in the fact that they are aware that HDR exists. I speculate that someone just informed them that HDR exists because they initiated a trade-in program the day of its release so that you can get the HDR version in February, and I guess that's when they'll just start selling it in general. However, they also fucked up the audio track, so whatever.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, what was it? It's like mixed down.
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
mixed
a CD
way
quality
down.
audio.
Yeah.
It went from really high quality bitrate to standard CD.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So yeah,
What's this shit keep happening?
people releasing UHD Blu-rays, get Justin Savakis to author them. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's got that guy who sends out magic
Well-
things that make things amazing. What the fuck is that?
Yes, if you want to upscale stuff from like, I don't know, a VHS to a 4K Blu-ray with none of the original materials, he's got a magic guy. But if you just need a 4K release from Japan to look and sound just as good in America, just find someone who knows what they're doing.
Anybody.
Anyone.
All right, Kestrel, where can you find us?
You can find us wherever you find podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Alexa, iHeartRadio, fandompost.com, and Facebook and Twitter. Follow us there, share our stuff, get in contact with us. You can also get in contact with us via email, fandompostradio@gmail.com. I'll be sending out some stuff for if anyone has any lists for their top anime of 2020, so we can read those and compile them and whatnot. Perhaps tear you apart for awful opinions. And give us money. Give Fandom Post money, or it may not exist after next month, and that would be a bummer. You can find me on Twitter at FullMetalKyoma and read my very long, in-depth reviews of Attack on Titan every week on fandompost.com for as long as that site exists.
You can find me on Twitter at DJ No Style, and you can find my game in a multitude of places. Just Google Lessons in Love Game.
You can find me on Twitter at SonicBug, and yes, please sign in, give Chris some money to keep running the website. Poor man is on food stamps, probably. Not really sure. And every little bit helps. And Kane is still here, I guess.
Yep, and that's it.
Exclusively. Yep.
I don't do that social media stuff.
You're better than all the rest of us for not.
It's more like,
partaking of that
I don't even see it that way. I'm just way too fucking lazy. I don't want to have to keep checking it and have to post things and take pictures because I hate having my picture taken.
Is that what you're supposed to
not
do? Are
built.
you supposed to take pictures of yourself?
That's definitely
I
one
guess
way
I've
to
been
do
doing
it.
wrong.
Interesting.
I've been doing it wrong this entire time, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, like selfies and all that shit, and then people post pictures of themselves at their beach homes to make other people jealous.
Oh.
I'm just
Guess
not
I've been
built
doing
for it because I'm just not too lazy.
Anyway, thank you for joining us. Tune in next time. We'll be discussing the whole year in review. Hopefully we'll have some guests on, whoever we can round up. And look forward to that. And after that, we're going to dive right into the new season coming up, which is stacked, yo. It's so stacked. Oh my god, there's so many shows. But until then, stay safe, and we hope you'll listen next time to Fandom Post Radio.
See ya.
Bye.
Adios.